You got a
Start with who?
You got a friend in me. Come on, everybody in the back. You got a friend.
We got a friend in me.
You've got a friend.
Friend in me.
That was the most out of time, but it was perfect.
You guys are drunk.
You got a friend in me. That's Linguini singing it, and he's not drunk. You got a ride in me. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this reflection on the Toy Story trilogy. Yay! The good Pixar trilogy. So, I'm joined today by quite a number of people. I'm joined by Alan, Josh, Harry, and Lee. So, we're going to be reflecting on all three films of the trilogy, obviously. The original Toy Story movie from 1995, the second movie from 1999, and the third one from 2010. So, I'm going to start with...
It's the year of shitty animated movies.
Other than Toy Story 3.
Apart from How to Train Your Dragon, Toy Story 3, Megamind, Alpha and Omega. But that's all.
Yeah.
An amazing movie for years. You had Deathly Hollow Part 1 that year.
He was talking about like animated films, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a great film. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the youngest and go with Lee. So, Lee, what do you think of the original Toy Story movie?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. One of the best Pixar movies. It's definitely their second best trilogy. I think it's got a lot of heart. I think the story is very nice. I think the concept is a little bit childish, well, at least from my perspective. But like, I think other than that, it's like with the Kung Fu Panda franchise, it looks so bad. But like, as for Toy Story, it's just the concept that's kind of a little bit kiddie. But when you go into it, it's great.
I have to disagree with you about it being childish. The second half of the movie in Sid's house.
I mean the concept. I don't mean the movie itself. I mean the concept.
My bad.
Because like the concept, it just makes it feel a bit weird. But like when you go into it, you go, "Oh my god, that's such an amazing masterpiece."
Good. Is there anything you want to say, or have you got more?
I think like it's fantastic. It's perfect, honestly. It's one of the best Pixar films, one of the best animated films of a long time. It's definitely an amazing.
Awesome. And out of 10, what would you rate it?
10 out of 10. Like Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, excellent. Right. Okay. After that creepy laugh, let's move on to Harry. We're not doing this in order of age. I just started with Lee first, so I didn't think he'd have much to say. So, Harry, you're a kid again. What do you think of Toy Story?
Thanks. You guys have all got a friend in me. Let's just say.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, this.
Why can't we be?
We're all queers. We're all gay boys.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Yeah, this movie, it makes me feel like a kid again every time I watch it. Toy Story is a absolute animated landmark of cinema. It's the first ever CGI animated feature movie. I mean, and let me tell you something, Toy Story is as old as I. It came out in 1995, the year I was born, and that because of that reason, I didn't get to see it at the cinema, but I do remember getting it on video, and it captivated me ever since. The animation is just revolutionary. Without this movie, CGI animation would not exist if you think about it.
You know, it's funny. The fact that this is about toys, you'd think that people would assume it was made for merchandise, whereas Cars, everybody assumes it's made for merchandise, whereas this is so good. People just don't question the merchandising of Toy Story.
Exactly. There's these movies were not made for merchandising. They were made for for story purposes. Whereas Cars was obviously more marketed at commercial reasons. But yeah, John Lasseter, he's one of Pixar's best directors, and he completely knocked it out of the park with this movie. And I'm glad he directed the first 3 Pixar movies as a whole, and not just. Yes, the animation may be the most dated of the trilogy, but I don't mind that at all. I mean, if you consider what audiences must have thought of it in 1995, it must have looked groundbreaking to see. And
I mean, it looks better than some of the crap we get today.
Oh yeah, it looks far better than the Emoji Movie.
Far better than Norm of the North.
Yeah, infinitely.
What you people call toilet, my people call.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks infinitely better than Norm of the North, and I absolutely love the 2 characters of Woody and Buzz. I think they have one of the best friendships in the history of cinema, and Tom Hanks and Tim Allen both wonderfully voiced these 2 characters. They were born to play these roles, and the story itself.
With this spaceman thing, it's getting on my nerves.
Well, yeah, exactly. They have such great banter with each other, and they're just their story to learn to accept each other and become friends. It's so heartfelt and powerful and touching, and that's a great message about this movie. It's Woody accepting change. Change can never be easy, but we all have to go through it sometime in life. And I love all the other characters. Andy's toys. They provide the.
Who thinks we should show our faces?
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not going to show my face. Sorry, Lee, but these characters, they provide obviously the fun of the movie. I mean, Don Wrinkles as Mr. Potato Head, Jim Varney as Slinky Dog, and Annie Potts as Bo Peep, and John Ratzenberger as Ham are all perfectly cast. And I love Andy. He's such a lovable kid, and his little sister Molly and his mum, all a wonderful family, and Sid is one of Pixar's greatest villains and darkest. This kid just rips apart toys just for fun. He's disturbed. He belongs in a mental asylum. I'm serious, and
that point is proved at the very end of the movie. So play nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would fuck me up if a toy said that to my face. And the movie really gets really dark and sinister once they get to Sid's house. But that's what I like about it. It wasn't afraid to be mature in places and engage its audience. And the climax is so raz with Woody and Buzz racing back to get to Andy before he moves, and it brilliantly concludes Woody and Buzz's friendship. And just the soundtrack and score by Randy Newman is absolutely stellar. I mean, when you hear "You've Got a Friend in Me," it's impossible to mistake that song for any other movie but Toy Story. And all of the songs have a point in the movie. They all develop characters and heighten the emotional drama when it needs to. And the movie's just, it's flawlessly paced. It's the right length for all the family. And
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the shortest Pixar movie?
I think so. It has a running time of only 81 minutes, so only an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, it's such an easy watch for any kid and adult. And it's obviously a timeless animated masterpiece, and I can't think of anything negative to say about this movie. It's practically perfect, even though it may be my least favorite in the trilogy overall, just because I feel that the sequels did surpass it quality-wise and improved the story. But that's what this movie proved. That when audiences came out of this movie, they didn't really praise the animation. They praised the story and characters, and that's exactly what it has. I mean, and And even though Toy Story, none of these movies are my favorite Pixar movie. That's of course Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc.'s just
Yeah.
awesome. Oh yeah.
It's musical.
Oh yeah.
Such a great film.
I agree.
What about Monsters University? That was good.
Yeah, I like that too.
Wally. Love Wally.
Oh, Wally's lovely.
I'll be here, guys. Will I read the live chat, the live stream live chat? Because we got a question by movie reviews and rankings by Reese. Hang on, let me get it up. And where's the live stream? Hang on, just give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Well, Harry, why don't you just carry on while Lee's looking for that?
Oh yeah.
Have it. Movie reviews and rankings asks, who's excited for an Incredibles trilogy?
Me.
Let's answer all questions at the very end. Otherwise, we'll never get. Yeah, but make a note of the question.
I'm obviously gonna rate Toy Story a 10 out of 10.
How dare you do exactly what I would do if I were you? Sorry.
Motherfucker. Anyone here seen Ted 2?
Sorry?
Ted 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like Ted 2. It's good.
I've only seen half of it and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny.
So, okay, Josh, what do you think of Toy Story 1?
Notice that when I was back in kindergarten, and I was born in 1998, year a bug came out, so I didn't get to watch the first story until I saw on VHS. This movie, I appreciate this movie. This was the first computer-generated animated film, and without it, you wouldn't have the other CGI animated movies after it, like Shrek and The Incredibles and Trolls. But Toy Story is the animation still looks good. The story, I like the friendship between Woody and Buzz. At first, he didn't like Buzz, but he accepted the changes. I like the other toys that he has: Mr. Head, Slinky Dog, Rex, Ham, the Army guys, Bo Peep. Just toys or the story is well written, and also Beaton was one of the screenwriters on this movie, so the script is point. The music is on point by Randy Newman. I love You Got a Friend in Me. The comedy, a lot of moments that made me laugh. This movie, for film this 1995, this movie does not have any. I don't have any issues with this movie. I guess I could say sort of complaint is is more of a nitpick, because this movie was not afraid to go this route, but the movie is a little dark and sinister, and Sid is a very cool villain. He just destroys the stories, which he should have been put in an institutional live hospital. Like the scene where they're trying to get Buzz and Woody are trying to get back home before Andy moves, and just there's a lot of things that this movie did. Without it, you wouldn't have the other animated movies that we get today. That this is more watchable than the freaking Boss Baby.
Oh, please don't remind me of that garbage.
Toy Story is way better than Boss Baby.
Even the Cars trilogy is better than that.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, agreed.
That Toy Story 1 is a classic. I love this movie. This is a perfect family film to show to your family, and it was a Pixar movie, and just with this film, except that it does go dark and sinister, but I appreciate that aspect. Because it's so I have to give this a perfect 10 out of 10.
Brilliant. Cool, nice, Josh. So, Alan.
Yeah. Okay, the original Toy Story. Well, I think I agree with everybody in the room that the original Toy Story is definitely a classic. I mean, it's the very first Pixar film. Classic story about friendship. Who doesn't love all the characters of Woody and Buzz and Blinky and Ham and all the rest? I mean, they really concocted a wonderful bunch of characters in this movie. A great concept too. I mean, just the thing about what would happen if toys came to life the moment everybody left the room, and if toys, had their own life together once the children had left the room.
Alan, sorry to interrupt you. Having said that, I don't know if anyone's seen the film Night at the Museum. Do you think they kind of borrowed from this concept?
I did.
Probably. I haven't seen any of the. I haven't seen any of the Night at the Museum movies, but yeah, they probably borrowed the concept from Toy Story. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Probably.
They're good movies.
Yeah, so I've heard. But yeah, the Toy Story movies. The first one. It's just a wonderful film about friendship, and of course you've got a great voice cast led by Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Brilliant voice work that everybody did in this movie. And of course you got Annie Potts, the late great Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, and it's definitely a family film that can appeal to adults. It does appeal to adults as well as children. I think that's part of the magic of the movie, because we can all relate. Even as an adult, you can relate to having a whole bunch of toys, and you're never too old to love toys. I mean, I'm an adult and I still have toys. A few, just as I'm sure you guys do. Probably safe to say.
But sure, what's wrong with having toys as an adult?
I'm hearing this noise.
Yeah, Lee, what's going on with your sound?
Oh, is there a sound error going on?
No, it's just rustling. A lot of rustling, and it's overtaking Alan's voice.
Yeah, you might want to put it on mute.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's much better. So basically, as I was saying, I mean, I think that's part of the magic of the Toy Story movies, including the first one, because even if you're an adult, you can relate to having been a child and having had all these toys that you love. And what a neat idea it would be if the toys came to life when everybody left the room, that kind of thing.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does, and again, great voice cast. Now the animation is terrific, but I did get to see this movie. I mean, I guess I'm the oldest guy in the room by far here. I'm in my 40s actually. So I did get to see the original Toy Story when it was in theaters 22 years ago. And at the time, it was definitely revolutionary. It was definitely groundbreaking. It was the world's first computer animated feature film. And at the time, it was definitely groundbreaking stuff. However, it has to be said, when you look at the original Toy Story now, the animation in it, because it is computer animation from 22 years ago, it does look a little dated. There are bits of it that do look a little fakey. Some of the colors and the textures in there, and also animating the few humans that we see, like Andy and his mother and his baby sister.
It looks a bit blocky, I think.
It looks a little blocky. It looks a little. I mean, even the dog. You know, Sid's dog has kind of a blocky kind of look about him. Sid has kind of a blocky look about him. So the animation is. I mean, it's still great. Don't get me wrong, but it's probably the most dated looking.
It looks great in HD, though. I will say that if you have a Blu-ray player, get it on Blu-ray because it does look really crisp.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah, I mean, I haven't made the jump to Blu-ray yet. I'm still very much on standard DVDs, but I don't doubt that the movie probably looks terrific on.
Actually, having said that, the DVD quality probably still looks much better than it did in the cinema release.
It does. It does. And anyway, I mean, it's still a great animated film, but I'm just saying that it's only natural that being the very first Pixar feature film from 22 years ago, that the animation is going to look a little dated because computer animation has grown and improved dramatically by leaps and bounds since that first Toy Story movie was made. So I think if the animation in the first movie looks a little dated, I mean, I think you can totally forgive it. You can totally forgive it because it still looks good. And
it's worthy to note that this was actually re-released in 3D when Toy Story 3 was coming out.
That's true. That's true. I missed the 3D re-release, but yes, you're right. They did give it a 3D reissue. Yeah.
And the second one as well.
Yes, you're right. But I mean, I think that despite the dated looking, the way that the animation looks, even if it looks a little dated, I think it is forgivable. It still looks great. Certainly for its time, it looks great. And the movie still has a wonderful story and great characters and great voice acting from Tom Hanks and Tim Allen and the rest of the cast that still managed to sell it and carry it over. And it is indeed, I guess, the shortest of all the Pixar films. It flies by very quickly, and it's always a joy to watch. Even though the animation has dramatically improved in the next two Toy Story movies, still, you know, the original Toy Story is it's a classic, and it's great entertainment for adults as well as children. And even though the animation looks a little bit dated, I still think it's a wonderful film overall, and a classic in its own right. So I have to give the original Toy Story a perfect 10 out of 10.
Awesome. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Alan, in the Demolition Derby scene of Cars 3, somebody actually threw a little Pizza Planet rocket ball.
Oh, did they? I missed that.
And also, in the training room, one of the cars is homesick, and then they pull down a sort of picture. It's actually the village from Coco, funnily enough.
Oh, is it?
Little references scattered in Cars 3 to some of the Pixar movies.
Okay,
it's like with all the Pixar movies. It feels like as if they're all connected. Like with the MCU, quoting from Harry, the MCU can't have a single fucking standalone film.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there is a Pixar theory, but we won't go into that just yet. Is there anything else you want to say, Alan, or shall I move on?
No, I think that covers it.
Cool. Well, as for me, there's not really much I can add to what you guys have said. The first Toy Story movie, I was born 2 years after it came out, in 1997. So A Bug's Life was really my first Pixar movie that I saw. But I went back to this because I had it on video. I really like this film. It's a really, really, really good film. As it has to be said that what wowed people about this movie was not just the animation, which is a bit dated now, but it's still good. But it's the charm. This movie has such an undeniable sense of charm and heart. And the comedic relief is great. I laughed a lot during this movie. There was one scene when they're looking outside, they're seeing Andy's friends come over with the presents, and then there's one they see, oh, that one doesn't look too bad, and then the guy turns around and it's like a long sort of stick thing, and they go, ah, dun dun dun, the music does that, and then Woody's like, all right, if I send the troops, will you all calm down? Yes, we promise. Good. Save your batteries. It's just great. I love all these characters. They're so delightful. Like Woody and Buzz. Woody's a dick in this movie. But thankfully,
Well, he was originally going to be a complete dickhead in the film. He was going to be more of a dick.
okay, I don't understand what you mean, but fair enough.
They had him originally going to be as an unlikable character, but yeah, you do kind of make a good point of him being a dick. But I think it's and yeah, it is a bit cliched whenever there's this new guy coming in a movie, and the guy who got before him, it gets jealous. I mean, yeah, it is kind of predictable nowadays, but I think it's good to look at for this type of film, because this film is the first computer animated film of all time. It's the first one.
I mean, yeah, you make a good point. I mean, yeah, he's a dick, but he grows to accept Buzz by the end, and they form a good friendship. And he's there to basically be Buzz's therapist, essentially. He's his reality check. He snaps him out of his delusion, and I kind of find that interesting. It makes me wonder: do all the toys have the same delusion, or is it like when they're first unpackaged, or is it just the Buzz Lightyear toys? That's what I found interesting. I mean, that question was never actually on. But I mean, fair enough. I guess they hark back to this in Toy Story 3 when they switch Buzz to demo mode. But we'll get to Toy Story 3 later.
Oh no! Oh no!
I think this movie is actually surprisingly dark for what it is. I mean, if I had to pick one criticism of this movie, is that it's a little bit too scary, I think. Like in the second half, I do love the stuff in Sid's house, but some of it just freaks me out. Like, fuck, it's shit. And the baby with one eye.
Well, it has been a good while since I last saw the trilogy, but I could see where you're going with, but it is a little bit too violent. But I think that's great for animation purposes, because that's the problem with animation.
Oh no, I mean, I wouldn't say it's too violent. There's no real violence in the movie. It's just it's kind of the scary nature of it. The horror aspects in the second half kind of are a bit too much. I mean, I'm over it now. I mean, I'm 20 years old. I can take it, but it's I mean, at the time when I was a kid, I was like, is this really a PG? Am I watching Hammer House of Horror Pixar version?
Yeah, sure. There are those things that out there when you're an adult, you look back, go, what the fuck? That was fucking terrifying.
I just kept thinking, oh my god, next they're going to bring out a Dracula toy, and it's going to be Sir Christopher Lee. Fuck.
Yeah, this is one of the only Pixar movies to be rated PG. I think more of them should be.
Yeah, I mean, let's finish it to 12. Anyway, enough of that. Other than that, this is a classic movie. I mean, I think
it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think it's paced superbly. I love the little green aliens. They're hilarious. Yeah, and I love the scene when Sid picks out both Woody and Buzz from the claw machine. Those type of claw machines are a nightmare in real life. I mean, they are so rigged. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I love the
Don't you? Oh, claw! I actually want a claw machine twice.
Yeah, cool.
They're just so hard, though.
Good for you, man. Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? Oh, I've lost track. Yeah, Woody and Buzz. I like their relationship, particularly the scene when they say, "Oh, don't worry, Woody. Andy will find a special place for you." And then Potato Head says, "Yeah, like the attic." All right, that's it. Then he goes and confronts him, and I love that scene. And he goes, "Stop with this spaceman thing. It's getting on my nerves." And then he presses Buzz's helmet, and Buzz pretends to choke. He goes, "The air isn't toxic." And I just love that. Tim Allen's great. The fact that his delusion is just hilarious. He thinks he's a space ranger, and then he sees the TV advert in Sid's house of the Buzz Lightyear toy, and that's when he really kicks in. And it's actually very mature, because Buzz goes through a mild stage of depression. If you think about it, he's depressed. He feels like he doesn't know who he is, and he's he's dressing up in this woman's skirt teapot thing because he doesn't know what else to do, and he can't.
I'm Mrs. Nesbit.
Don't you get it? I am Mrs. Nesbit. I thought that was funny. Oh, and the scene when Woody is talking to the toys across the house, because obviously Sid is Andy's neighbor, and they're throwing the lights across. and then he's holding Buzz's hand, like doing an impression of him. And then, what are you trying to pull? Nothing. And then they just see the arm, and they think that Woody has murdered Buzz. I mean, oh, so many great moments. But the story's brilliant. The climax is awesome. When they escape Sid's house, and when they actually reveal themselves to Sid, and I mean, that's messed up. When Woody says, "We toys can see everything, so nice." That was creepy as fuck. I mean, it works, but it's like, fuck, Pixar aren't afraid to go the full length. I mean, this is scary shit. Get this in a Cars movie.
Yeah, if that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the final chase when they're chasing after the van with the RC race car, and then they light the rocket to catch up. That's awesome. That's awesome stuff. Little Easter egg, actually, when we cut to a shot of Andy's little baby sister in the car, and you hear "Hakuna Matata," what a wonderful phrase, like the Lion King song, which is funny. And she can see in the windscreen what's going on. I thought that was quite cute. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, this movie was difficult to make. They really struggled, but I think they came out with a great script. I also love the scene when at the gas station when. And if you notice in the sign, it says Dynaco, which is obviously a reference to Cars.
Yes.
So there's so many different references to the movie scattered. I mean, and Woody and Buzz fight, and that's really cool. I will say that this movie you don't see as much of the supporting characters as the next two, but that's fine. You don't need this. This movie isn't about them. They get more involved in the sequels, which is fine. I also love the scenes in Pizza Planet. They're really cool. I always thought Pizza Planet was like the American version of Planet Hollywood. Harry, I don't know if you went to Planet Hollywood at all.
Yeah, me and my family did in Disneyland.
Awesome, yeah. I mean, I know it's a... Sorry?
Was it good, Harry?
Yeah, right. It was fabulous.
I mean...
Oh, that's good.
Awesome. I also love the opening when Andy's like playing with his toys. I'm here to stop you, One-Eyed Bart, and he's doing all the little voices.
Yeah, that's cute.
And like with all he's playing with his toys. I love that. It's great. It just shows you basically that this entire thing is a kid's imagination. It's brilliant. I mean, and as Alan said, this film is relatable to both kids and adults, and it's very mature in its themes. And I also love the fact the music, the soundtrack is wonderful. Randy Newman's songs, "You Got a Friend in Me," which is the famous one. And there's one I can't remember. I think it's called "Strange Things." There's like a montage when Andy is basically playing more with Buzz and forgetting Woody. Woody's getting jealous, and there's I think it goes, "Let me tell you about strange things that are happening to me," something like that. But yeah, I mean, this is a great movie, and a lot of animated movies should really take heed on this as a great example. It's a landmark in film. It really is. It's the first computer CGI animated film, and it really put Pixar on the map, because I think before this, Pixar had only done short films. I think John Lasseter had only had Pixar for, about 10 years or so, but it was never really fully established. They made short films, but I think their first ever little short film was something called Tin Toy or something, or that was like the basis of the idea for Toy Story.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, I don't know if you can shed any light on that, because you've probably seen Pixar since the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Tin Toy is on the DVD for Toy Story, isn't it? I think it is. I think they included it as a bonus, or at least on my DVD copy of Toy Story, it has a Tin Toy. And yeah, I think it was the inspiration for Toy Story. It's just this cute little animated short about a tin toy trying to survive this reckless baby who plays with them a little too aggressively. I think it's a cute little animated short, and yeah, I think it was definitely the basis for Toy Story. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, thank you. So just to wrap it up, I'm going to rate Toy Story a perfect 10 out of 10. Despite I have minor flaws with it in terms of the darkness, but other than that, it's pretty much perfect. I mean, I also love the scene when the toy soldiers are going downstairs It's like this little covert operation where they're going downstairs to spy on Andy and see what presents he's got. I love that. And oh yeah, and then Andy's mum nearly steps on them, and she's like, I thought I told him to pick these up. So, there's so many little things, and the fact that these toys are able to sneak around so much without being heard or being seen is actually quite amazing. And I love the ending of the movie when Andy gets a puppy, and Woody and Buzz look at each other like, oh dear.
Right.
I forgot to mention Bo Peep. Yeah, Bo Peep's brilliant, and I love Woody and Bo Peep's relationship. And yes, the rumors obviously for Toy Story 4 that she will return. Okay, if you can make a script as good as the first three, I'm down with it. But I mean, if it were my choice, I would have said no, just leave it. There's no point. But yeah, so we now move on to the second act of this trilogy, Toy Story 2, released in 1999. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Lee. So Lee, what do you think of Toy Story 2?
Well, to be honest, it's an absolute amazing film. It's better than the first one. It improves everything over the first film. Maybe not the human designs, but it's still a great film. It's a masterpiece.
Anything else you want to say?
The story is great. It's an improvement. It expands. The characters are great. Woody is an improvement. Jessie is a good character. What more can I say? It's a masterpiece. It's definitely my second favorite in the trilogy.
Nice. What would you rate it out of 10?
10, obviously. Of course.
Awesome.
Okay, sorry if that was a bit rude, but yeah, it deserves a 10.
It's fine. It's all right. Brilliant. Okay, you obviously haven't got much more to say, so are you all right if I move on?
Sure.
Cool. So I believe it's Harry? Yeah, Harry, you're next.
Thanks. Some of you are going to agree, some of you are going to disagree, but Toy Story 2 is my favorite in the trilogy. Yep, I think it's better than Toy Story 3. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit that. Yeah.
No need to
slay me.
Yeah, glad Alan agrees. Yeah. This movie is just wow, an absolute masterpiece and superb movie on every level. You couldn't ask for a better sequel to the original Toy Story. Can you believe this movie wasn't originally going to happen, as it was Disney who were begging Pixar to make a Toy Story 2, but Pixar were just against it. But then,
well, Harry, didn't they have an original version of Toy Story 2 when they were developing it? I think it went through development hell. They weren't happy with the version they had originally, so they had to completely restart again with the version now.
Yeah, that's true.
Toy Story making a Bugs Life.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that was the case. It did have a rough production history, but thank God it got made. I couldn't be happier with the result. And this was actually the first Toy Story and Pixar movie I ever saw as a kid, because I was 4 when it came out in 1999. I got the video and it blew me the fuck away.
When you see it in the cinema?
Oh, no, I didn't get to see it at the cinema, sadly, but the only one I did get to see at the cinema was the third one. But yeah, I think Woody's. This is much more Woody's story than the first one. The first movie was about Woody and Buzz, but Woody's dilemma here and his decision to either stay with Andy or stay with the Roundup gang that he's met and go off to the museum in Japan. It's completely compelling and
You're right. And actually, sorry to interrupt. I think what's also interesting, it adds another perspective to the life of a toy, like being trapped behind glass and admired by people. I mean, rather than just being owned by a kid and being played with. It's a really interesting dilemma. I absolutely agree with you, Harry.
Absolutely, yeah. It's such compelling conflict that you wouldn't expect to see in this movie. I mean, yeah, exactly. It
questions about toys and teddy bears. I mean,
Yeah, a film about toys and teddy bears, and Pixar made that emotional. They're geniuses, and yeah, exactly. This is basic. The message of this movie is basically, you know, what's your purpose in life? That is so damn deep, and I love all of the delightful characters from the first movie return, and but we also get some classic new additions too. I mean, Jessie is my favorite Toy Story character. Yeah, Yodel, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, she's yeah, Joan Cusack is brilliant as Jessie, and my God, Jessie
as well.
Yeah.
No wonder Alan has a toy of Jessie.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
I do. Yes, I
yeah.
do.
Love Alan's Jessie toy. Yeah, yeah. You're welcome. If I was a toy, Jessie would be my girlfriend. Yeah, she is my toy crush, and just yeah, and Jessie's Jessie's song "When She Loved Me," that is fucking heart wrenching and beautiful and powerful, and just that's my favorite scene in the entire trilogy and one of my favorite movie moments. I mean, if you don't cry at that scene, you have no soul.
Oh, cheers. I didn't cry at that scene. I'm sorry.
You didn't cry? What?
I got the feels, but I didn't cry.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Well, as long
okay.
as you got the feels, that's the important thing.
Yeah, I cried at Toy Story 3. There you go. That made up for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. And
It made my nephew cry. I'll say that much. And he's younger than me. He's like 10 years younger than me.
oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand. And Bullseye. Yeah, Bullseye's a ton of fun. He's adorable. And Kelsey Grammer as the villain Stinky Pete. Stinky Pete is one of the best villains in this trilogy and one of Pixar's best villains. He's a very unexpected villain. You don't expect him to be the antagonist at first because he acts really visible at first, but in the twist at the end, it reveals he's a complete prick and just wants to
He went mad living inside that box.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, Harry, I mean, would you agree though? I mean, yeah, he's the villain, but we get a backstory about why he became so nasty because you know he's never been taken out of the box, he's never been played with.
Well, yeah, you understand why he's like that because he's never had love.
Lee, your audio's going funny again.
Ah, that noise! Turn off your microphone.
Sorry.
Blimey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you get where he's coming from at least. That's what makes him more three-dimensional because he's never been played with or loved by a kid, so he doesn't know love like Woody does. But man, I hated him.
Actually, you could argue. I mean, I know this is in the bloopers, but he might have been played with by those Barbie dolls.
Oh yeah, he was played with by the Barbie dolls, exactly. Yeah.
Did toys have sex?
Well, I don't.
No.
I don't think they do. I think they're just manufactured and come to life some
Manufactured souls.
exactly.
Yeah.
And while well, this movie has two antagonists really. But Stinky Pete is definitely the better of the two. But Al, the toy collector, who owns Al's Toy Barn, he's obviously the more goofy of the two. And I love also Buzz and the other toys' quest to rescue Woody. Woody's storyline is the more mature part of the story, but the Buzz's storyline is the more fun part of the story to balance out the two tones. But I always and Mrs. Potato Head is a terrific new character. I love it when she says, "I'm packing your angry eyes just in case." That's so
Prepare to meet Mr. Angry Eyes.
Oh god, yeah, hilarious. But one nitpick I probably do have is why did Mrs. Potato Head not come on the mission to rescue Woody? Why did she just stay at Andy's home and do nothing? But
I agree with that. She was wasted in this movie, but thankfully she's in the third one a lot more.
Yeah, at least they listened to that criticism and improved that. But yeah, that's such a smaller thing to point out. And I also the inclusion of Zurg. He's basically the Darth Vader of Toy Story, especially in the brilliant, in the awesome parody scene of Empire Strikes Back when he's like, "No, Buzz, I am your father." No. Oh, it's fucking hysterical, that moment, and also I love the opening of this movie. It's
Harry, sorry, it's worthy to note. You know, you said the Zurg Buzz father thing. The scene afterwards, they're then playing catch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good throw, son. That's my boy.
Oh, you're a great daddy. Yippee!
Yeah.
He says it like Jake Lloyd in The Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can see why this movie had numerous Star Wars references, because this came out the same year as Phantom Menace, and as good as Phantom Menace was, this is the better movie overall. And I love the opening of this movie with the Buzz video game. It's action packed and oh yeah, and there are numerous Star Wars sound effects in that opening. If you listen,
yes, there are.
The lightsaber battery was a particular highlight.
Yeah, definitely, and the animation is just for 1999. It looks phenomenal. It's
even better than the first one.
Yeah, it's definitely improved over the first one, considering it came out 4 years later. It looks better rendered, and the climax at the airport is just epic.
You just need to find that case.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it ends the movie with a bang, and I love Woody and Jesse's relationship. I think that's the heart of the movie. I actually ship Woody and Jesse together. I'm like, Bo Peep's good, but she's nowhere near as interesting as Jesse. Why does Jesse choose Buzz over Woody? I don't get it. But
he's a big spaceman.
Oh yeah, true.
Well, Woody made the first move. Buzz made the first move on Jesse. I don't think Woody made any hints that he wanted to get with her.
I mean, if Toy Story 3 is anything to go by with Buzz's Spanish mode, then, well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get. Yeah, absolutely. I can probably see
I guess
that.
Woody could have another Jessie doll, if you wish.
There's always more Jessie dolls.
Bo Peep is Woody's girlfriend. You know, Woody's heart belongs to Bo Peep. You know, it's as simple as that. He was already taken.
Unless Woody's a player.
Yeah, so Buzz moved in on Jesse.
Yeah, okay, but again, still, I have of course.
Sorry to interrupt, but adding to Alan's point, there is a moment in the bloopers when on his wing it says "this space for rent." Obviously, Jesse definitely paid for that rent.
God, yeah. But absolutely, yeah, right. Yeah, I cannot. I have no criticisms with this movie. It's completely perfect, and it's my favorite Toy Story movie of the three, and my second favorite Pixar movie on overall. It holds up even today, and I am going to give Toy Story 2 an absolute 10 out of 10.
Woo! Yeah. Oh, by the way, do you love the bloopers and also the three aliens, the three little aliens return?
Oh yeah, when they're like, "You saved our lives. We are eternally grateful to
Daddy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! And the bloopers at the end in the credits.
Oh yeah, the outtakes. Yeah, they are a ton of fun. Yeah, I wish Pixar still did outtakes.
Well, they did for Inside Out, but since then we haven't had any.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Right. So we'll move on now to Josh.
Toy Story 3, again, this came out in 1990, and it is one of the original. To say that this is my least favorite Toy Story movie.
What? How could you?
I don't hate this movie. I love Toy Story 2. It's just my least. I like Toy Story 3 a lot more. This one is great. Great. The story is more more engaging. We get two characters. We get Jessie. She's cool. Bullseye, cool. The General Resort. The purple toy. I forgot his name with the red eyes.
Oh, ow.
Yeah, I like him. We also get Stinky Pete by played by Kelsey Grammer. And when I first watched this movie, I was not expecting him to be antagonist on, which they waited until later on to have him as the antagonist. But he turns out as a good guy, and I feel bad for him because you feel bad for him. He never got played with, and he's between. Does he want to stay with the Roundup gang, or does he want to stay with Andy's other ways? I like that story. I like the three alien guys. They're funny. We also get introduced to Barbie.
Are we talking about Toy Story 3 now, or still Toy Story 2?
We're on Toy Story 2.
Toy Story.
Number 2.
So we've still got
I
Josh
love-
Allen and me to go.
It's still fascinating. The 1990. Animation CGI was way better here than half of the CGI in comedy is still divine, still good. I like, but I know he still likes both people. Nitpick here is that Miss Potato Head didn't get a lot to do, honestly, and sadly, the last movie where Jim Varney because he died after his movie was released. So, and you also get just a lot of cool things in this one. I don't have a whole lot to say on this one. I think this is just as good as the first one, but also expand more. No sequels that does expand more, like Spider-Man 2 did. For any of you guys wondering, Ollie will still do Amazing Spider-Man. I get tore out of the way. But anyway, I find a lot of enjoyment to favorite, but I don't hate it. So I have to give this a 10 out of 10.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Alan, what do you think of Toy Story 2?
Yo, boy, Toy Story 2. Well, I'm with Harry on this one. I think Toy Story 2 is the best of the trilogy.
Yay!
Okay, and let's see, Harry, did you say Toy Story 2 is your second favorite Pixar movie?
Yep.
Yeah, it's my second favorite Pixar movie too.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
of all the Pixar movies, the only Pixar film I love more is WALL-E. WALL-E is my favorite Pixar film, but Toy Story 2 right behind at number 2.
Is that because of Jessie?
Yeah.
Is that because of Jessie?
She's one of the reasons, but Toy Story 2, I mean, my God, it's such a fantastic movie. I mean, I was blown away by it from the first time I saw it. The first thing that I noticed right away, the animation has greatly improved in the 4 years since the first Toy Story movie came out. And looking at Toy Story 2 now, the animation is still brilliant. I mean, they really did major improvements with the animation. It's a beautifully rendered CGI film. Spectacular animation everywhere you look. And another thing about Toy Story 2 that I love is that it's just so damn funny. I mean, from the first scene to the last, it's just funny. I mean, great laughs all throughout the movie. I mean, the opening scene.
It's just fun.
It's just fun in capital letters, you know. And from the first scene with Buzz Lightyear having his adventure on that distant planet, And for a few seconds, we think he's been killed by Zurg, and then it turns out it was just a video game that Rex and Buzz were playing. It's like, oh, that was a neat trick. But I mean, it's really fun. We see Buzz's adventure on the planet, and then we get into the real situation where Woody accidentally winds up in the garage sale, and then he gets taken away by the shifty toy store owner. And then that begins the adventure where the other toys have to go on an adventure. Well, a group of them have to go on an adventure to rescue Woody.
Oh yeah, sorry, Alan. I nearly called you Al there. Sorry, my bad. It's worthy to note that the toy collector known as Al was actually voiced by Wayne Knight, a very famous actor.
Yes, he was. Yeah, I'm familiar with some of Wayne Knight's stuff. Yeah, he's very, very funny.
I can't believe I have to drive all the way to work on a Saturday.
It's across the street. Let's see. A shower? Skip the shower. Oh yeah, no, he's very, very funny. But yeah, and then the fact they have to go and rescue Woody, and so there's a group of them that have to go and rescue Woody, and very, very funny stuff. With Buzz leading the group. And then we get into the story where Woody meets the other toys, Jesse and Sticky Pete, and what's the name of the horse? I'm sorry. Bullseye. Thank you, Bullseye. And also, it's a great movie because Woody discovers his origins. He discovers where he came from. He discovers that he was part of this popular children's TV show where he and the fellow characters were like marionette puppets on this old black and white TV show, and there was a whole ton of merchandise attached to it, and he's fascinated by discovering his origins, and I think we're fascinated right along with him, and again the new characters. I mean, Jessie, like I said, I have a Jessie doll. I have a toy Jessie doll. I mean, I love Jessie. She's probably my favorite Toy Story character of the bunch. I mean, you just love her. And
did you buy that toy after you saw Toy Story 2?
Yeah, it was. It's a Jessie doll from 1999. From when Toy Story 2 came out. She also has the ability to talk, but I don't think I've replaced the battery yet, so I can't make her talk at the moment. But nonetheless, she's just absolutely adorable, and she's wonderfully voiced by Joan Cusack. And you just love her, and of course, then you find out her backstory, how she had a girl named Emily who loved her, but then Emily grew up and left. There's
actually a theory that Emily is Andy's mum. There's a theory.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if I can believe it, but that's. Yeah.
Actually, the big question is there time to mention this? The big question about Toy Story that some people have brought up about these movies: what the heck happened to Andy's dad? Did he die? Did his parents get divorced?
He probably just had a fling with Andy's mum and then fucked off.
I suppose. I mean, he's got a baby sister, so I mean, she, his parents must have been together recently. Maybe they only just got divorced. I mean, okay, they had Andy's little sister, but maybe they divorced or something.
Or maybe
no mention of Andy's father at all. In these.
Or maybe Andy's adopted. Maybe Andy and Molly are adopted.
They could be. That could be. I mean, that's a good theory. Maybe his mom has been a single mom. I
mean, people said that about Riley from Inside Out as well. That Riley's adopted. She doesn't look like her parents. She's blonde. I don't believe that.
It can go either way. But, that's a good theory. Maybe Andy and his sister are both adopted and that their mom has been a single mom the whole time. That's a good theory. I don't know of any other theory that makes sense. But anyway, getting back to Toy Story 2, it's a wonderful story finding out Woody's origins and the new characters, Jessie and Bullseye. Bullseye is an adorable horse. And again,
the cone scene as well. The cone scene.
The what scene?
The cone scene when they have to cross the road with the cone.
Yes, yeah. When Buzz and the other toys have to cross the street with undercover from these street cones. Mr. Potato Head barely makes it out alive without becoming mashed potatoes. Literally, barely makes it. And he goes, "Oh, that went well." Yeah, that's a very amusing scene. And of course, when they get to the toy store and they meet Barbie, because I know that was one complaint that people had about the original Toy Story, is that you were missing certain classic toys like Barbie and G.I. Joe, and because they couldn't get the rights for G.I. Joe, so they made up an alternate toy named Combat Carl, which Sid blows up in the movie, and there was no Barbie at all in the first one, but they were able to bring her in for the second movie, which is great. Hi, I'm tour guide Barbie.
That's a very good impression.
Yeah. And of course, when they meet him, it's like all the Barbie dolls are having a beach party. How low can you go? How low can you go? Yeah, no, very, very funny stuff. And then
I'm a married spud.
Yeah, I'm a married spud. And Rex trying to figure out how to defeat the video game. So he gets one of those video game cheat books. They make this. They make the video game, so you have to buy this book. It's extortion. That's what it is. Really fun stuff. Very, very funny stuff, and how both stories converge. And then, of course, we get the second Buzz Lightyear toy, who hasn't woken up from his delusions, and then he and the real Buzz Lightyear toy, they have a little funny mix-up. And then all the shenanigans involving the secondary Buzz Lightyear, who all the other toys think is their Buzz Lightyear, and just funny stuff. And then, of course, that leads into the wonderfully funny Star Wars spoof, "No, Buzz, I am your father." No! Man, and like you said, the follow-up scene, just when you thought that they couldn't go any further with that gag, the follow-up scene, like I'm going to hang out with my dad, way to go, son, that's my boy, go along, Buzzy.
You're a great dad.
Yeah, I mean, just funny stuff. But then you also get the serious stuff, where Woody, he's being torn between going back to his old toy friends or going off to Japan, with Jesse and Pete and Bullseye to be in that toy museum in Japan, and his struggle with that. And then, of course, there's the dilemma with Jessie and everything that she's been through. And I think the movie it does a wonderful balancing act between the hilariously funny stuff and the serious stuff. And it weaves it really wonderfully well, like a great tapestry. And then, of course, you've got the big climax. Well, first of all, with the toys in the car.
Sorry,
with driving the car and the Rex giving directions. Turn left, turn right. And then Mr. Potato Head saves the Martians from falling out the window. You have saved us. We are eternally grateful. You have saved us.
Daddy.
Will you just leave me alone? And then, just when you think the movie can't get any better, then we get the wonderful action scene at the airport. All the stuff at the airport, and then the luggage machine, whatever, the conveyor belt luggage machine. There's like tons and tons of luggage conveyor belts, and the chase on the luggage conveyor belts. And then we get the final chase out on the main airfield with Woody and Jesse and Bullseye and Buzz and
Bullseye.
Yeah, where they're rescuing Jesse from the jet plane.
I'd say the music for that scene is really good. Dun dun.
Really, really good stuff. I mean, this movie is just a total package, and then of course you got the final scene and that cute penguin toy Squeaker. He gets a scene.
Wheezy, yeah.
Wheezy and voiced by the late great Robert Goulet, singing "You've Got a Friend in Me." I mean, it's just a perfect ending to the film. What else can I say about Toy Story 2? It's just a total package from start to finish. It is magnificent entertainment.
Sorry, one more thing. The music score. Did you like the music?
The music score is terrific. Yeah, the music score is great. And I definitely got a little tear in my eye, I think, with the song about Jessie, When She Loved Me. Sung by singer Sarah McLachlan, who I happen to be a big fan of. So that was a nice touch. Randy Newman wrote it. Way to go, Randy. It's the whole movie is a total package. I mean, the funny stuff is wonderfully funny. The serious stuff is very, very touching. Animation is superb. The voice acting by everybody is terrific. The new characters are wonderful. you know, as I say, Jessie, Bullseye, Stinky Pete, Mrs. Potato Head, we finally get her. And even though, yeah, okay, she wasn't given as much to do as she could have, but they make up for that with the next movie. It's just fantastic entertainment.
And the bloopers at the end.
The bloopers are hysterically funny. I love the bloopers at the end. Great bloopers.
You even have Flick and Heimlich from A Bug's Life in the bloopers.
Right. That was a nice touch. That was a very nice touch. So, you know, Toy Story 2, it's definitely my favorite of the trilogy. It's always been one of my very, very favorite Pixar films. In fact, Toy Story 2 was my favorite Pixar movie until WALL-E came along and put it to number 2. But still, this is a magnificent movie. This is a magnificent Pixar film. Great entertainment from start to finish. As I say, it's my favorite of the 3 Toy Story films. So, needless to say, I give Toy Story 2 a perfect 10 out of 10.
Nice, awesome. Before I move on, what gives WALL-E the edge over Toy Story 2?
I just love the little guy. What can I say? He's like the most adorable robot, and the fact that you know, the love story between him and the female robot Eve, and the fact that for the first part of the movie, there's very little dialogue.
Take that, Attack the Clones.
Yeah, it's almost a silent movie for the first part of it. The message of the movie about, you know, taking care of the planet, taking care of the environment, when it moves into outer space on the spaceship that Eve is on, it's just superb stuff. I mean, it's the Pixar movie that's the nearest and dearest to my heart, and it was capped off by that brilliant song "Down to Earth" by Peter Gabriel. Should have won the Oscar for Best Song, but I think the Academy were on a Slumdog Millionaire high for fuck knows why.
Fuck you, Academy.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love WALL-E and Eve and the other robot characters like the cleaning robot Mo. It's just beautifully done. So to make a long story short, you know, WALL-E is the Pixar film that I love the most. But in second place is Toy Story 2, for sure. So I love Toy Story 2. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my all-time favorite Pixar films and always will be. And it is my favorite of the 3 Toy Story films, the second one. Absolutely
brilliant. Well, I have to agree with the panel here. Toy Story 2 is magnificent. This is probably the best animated sequel I've ever seen. I've seen some pretty damn great animated sequels recently.
What about How to Train Your Dragon 2?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. But sorry, I give the edge to Toy Story 2. I did enjoy How to Train Your Dragon 2 a lot. It was outstanding. But for me, Toy Story 2 just has the edge. I grew up...
No, hell no.
Sorry, Lee, I have to disagree. I do love How to Train Your Dragon 2, but I've only seen it once, and I've always loved Toy Story 2. How to Train Your Dragon 2, it doesn't quite have the comedy that Toy Story 2 has. That's not a criticism. That's just an observation. But I mean, we can do reflection on those 2 films another day. Back to Toy Story 2. This is how you do a sequel. Yeah, this is how you do it. Really. It's not like Cars 2, which I think is just a wafer thin improvement over its original. Toy Story 2 for me is a major improvement over the first one, and I love the first one. So, I mean, expect nothing but positivity. I'll say this right now: my only problem with this movie, well, it's a nitpick really, is again Mrs. Potato Head doesn't really get anything to do, but that's not a major problem. This movie is just awesome. It's fantastic. I was 1 when this film came out. I was 1 year old when this film came out. No, sorry, no, not 1.
Good.
What the hell's that? Sorry, I had to mute Lee for a sec. I can't concentrate when there's like loads of people talking. Anyway, sorry, I was 2 actually. I was 2 when this film came out. So I don't really remember. I remember having this on video and watching it a lot when I was younger. But as for seeing it in the cinema, I don't remember that. But I love the story. I think, you know, sometimes the phrase "bigger and better" is a bad thing, but I think in this case it's great. This movie is bigger and better than the first one because it's on a bigger scale. They go out of Andy's house, not to next door. They go further out into the realms of Al's toy barn. They go into the city almost, which is really the scope of this film is amazing. I love the adventure sort of plot. It's so thrilling, like when Buzz and all the other toys are going on a quest to save Woody. And it's a nice change, actually, because the first one, those characters were just there. So it's nice to see them get involved in the action as well. But I love Woody's dilemma. You know, it's brilliant how he's questioning where he belongs now. It's almost like the reverse of the first one. The first one was Buzz questioning where he belonged and snapping out of his delusion. Woody is almost having to make a terrible choice about, you know, going back to Andy or deserting his Roundup gang. So, you know, and they're all really great. I love those characters. Jessie is an absolute riot. She is fucking hilarious. And Joan Cusack brings a wonderful, wonderful performance. Like when she's first introduced, the very first shot of Jessie always makes me laugh. When Woody gets rolled on the floor and then she goes, "Yee-haw!" That always makes me laugh.
Me too. Me too.
And, you know, I think that her and Woody have a great friendship. Sorry, Harry. I believe that it's a friendship, and I don't think it could go any further. But
oh, I understand. Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, I thought the same as you. I thought, okay, yeah, maybe it would have been nice to see them together. But I kind of like that she goes with Buzz. But we'll talk more about that in Toy Story 3. Toy Story 2. Yes. Stinky Pete, or the Prospector as the villain. I really like him. I mean, yeah, he's not revealed till the end, till the third act of the movie. Or the end of the second act. But I don't mind that. I think that's great because you never suspect that guy. And his motivations are very clear, as Alan said. You know, the fact that he's never been played with. He's basically been neglected as far as things are concerned. And the media have treated him very terribly by basically making his character in the show a goof. And he's getting sick of all the space toys that have invaded in. And I think Kelsey Grammer does a great job in the part, and he causes tension between Woody and Jessie by turning the TV on. Somehow he turns the TV on. Obviously, I don't know if he climbed out of his box or whether he nudged his box onto the remote. I don't know, but anyway, that's a great scene. One scene which nobody's mentioned this yet. There's a scene when Woody has a dream. And he's falling into the dustbin.
Oh, yeah.
That's really dark. I thought that was scary. Like when Andy says to him, "Bye, Woody." And
You're broken. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's psychologically disturbing. But it worked. I mean, it's not like the first movie where the whole entire half of the film is dark and disturbing. But that was very creepy. But I think the movie's comedy is hilarious. I mean, I thought the first one was funny, but this one is fun. I love the character of Wheezy. He's just funny how he's coughing all the time, like, "The dust aggravates my condition." It's just great. And he sings at the end, which is great. He sings the "You've got a friend in me." That was nice. As Alan said, the introduction of Barbie was great. She becomes more of a character in the third film, but we'll get to the third film in a minute. But it's nice to have her in there, I guess. And I like Al as well. He's quite funny. As Alan said, he's very funny. Like, "Oh, I could skip the shower." Another scene which nobody's mentioned is the scene when Woody is cleaned. I think that's a great scene.
That is really nicely done. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It's great because, I mean, when I was in college, I had to redub that scene for a sound design unit. What we were doing in our college, we had the visuals, but we had to basically dub the sound effects for that scene of when Woody was being cleaned, and it was very interesting doing that actually. And I thought that scene was wonderfully constructed. The music for that was great, and
it was.
The cleaner brush over his boot, which says Andy on it. I thought that was very symbolic. That was very nicely done. And then, you know, so how long is this going to take? You can't rush art. that was good. And then and then at the end he says, "Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. He's a genius. He's just like no." Again, this movie's funny. It's just so funny. I mean, as well as it being emotionally powerful and in some cases dark. And particularly with Jessie, her backstory with the montage of When She Loved Me. That's a very popular scene for obvious reasons. I'm surprised actually. It made my nephew cry. I mean, when he was younger, he loved the Toy Story movies. This was before the third one came out. And I actually went, my older sister took me, my younger sister, and my nephew to see the third one. There was a moment, I think, when he had to get taken out of the third one because it was very dark, and he was quite upset.
Oh.
And I think also with Monsters Inc. there was a moment when he couldn't watch it because it was very upsetting. Like with the emotional scenes, like Pixar, they just throw it at you. I mean, the feels, God. I mean, like with Jessie's story, I was punched in the gut. I felt so sorry for her, and you kind of have to look at this dilemma and go, like, in a way, there's not really a good or bad side to this. They're just trying to. Like, they don't want to go to the museum. They want to be free. They just want freedom. That's all they want. They don't want to deprive Woody of what he wants, but they're desperate. They just want their freedom. And Jessie feels like having an owner was like, at one time, the best part of her life, but then the next time, the worst time of her life. This is actually something that comes back in Toy Story 3 with Lotso hugging Bear, but we'll get to him later. I love Zurg in this movie. The fact that they included him was great. And sorry?
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, it's all right. Yeah.
Kill Buzz Lightyear. Kill Buzz Lightyear.
I particularly love the opening scene on the Gamma Quadrant in Sector 4. And the fact that it's a video game is great. And then like, the ending when he gets shot, you're like, what the fuck? And then it has his evil laugh, and then it pans out, it cuts to the shot of the TV, and it goes, do, no. That cracked me up.
Yes, that was total genius. Yeah.
That was great. And I love the music for the opening scene. The dun 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 dun. It's so good. I mean, the movie grabs your attention. It's gripping from start to finish. I was going to say, and Zurg, especially, like the lines are repeated actually later on when he says, what did he say? So we meet again, Buzz Lightyear, for the last time. Not today, Zurg. And later on when they have the fight on the elevator, that's awesome. And when he buzzes the laser, Zurg pretends to be affected by it. He goes, oh!
Yeah.
And of course the classic scene from Star Wars ripped off, no, Buzz, I am your father. No! Just genius. Absolutely.
I love that, yeah.
And again, as Alan said, the scene afterwards, when he's playing catch with him, and he's like, Buzz, are you coming? No, I got a lot of catching up to do with my dad. Good throw, son. That's my boy. Go on. Oh, you're a great daddy. Yippee! just absolutely fantastic. I mean, the other Buzz as well was great. It's worthy to know, actually, when Buzz, the real Buzz, climbs up onto the display, it's the same shot as the first film. The camera pans up to Buzz. And there's a shot like that in the first movie when Woody climbs up the bed.
You're right, yeah.
So that was nice. I thought, because it's basically the same situation as the first one, so I thought that was great. I love the scene where they're climbing the wall of the elevators. That was funny. But he's like, I'm going to let go of the wall. No, he wouldn't. 1, 2, he would. 3, no! That's great. And as Alan said, the scene with the traffic cones is great. And Mr. Potato Head nearly becomes a mashed potato when he gets his foot stuck in the gum. That was great. And went across the road. Oh, that went well. The roads all completely destroyed. The pacing is great as well. I love the pacing of this movie. It flies by. In a way, for me, it goes even quicker than the first one. In the first one, was quick as well. But they had a lot more of there wasn't as much of an adventure feel to the first one as this one. And I love the climax in the airport, which is great. The luggage chase, and then when they take on Stinky Pete, and then they have to rescue Jesse from the airplane. I think that's great. And as I said, the music for that scene is just to die for. Dun 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 dun. And then they're going, "Hey, howdy, hey, giddy up, come on, Bullseye, go!" And Woody's like jumping from the vans, one van to the other. That's just great. It's just thrilling, absolutely thrilling. I always enjoy watching this movie just because it's so much fun, as well as it being deep emotionally, and the drama's very good. I mean, this is a film about toys and teddy bears. I mean, fuck me, this is amazing. I mean, I think you get films like the Emoji Movie now, like that.
Oh god!
They just don't give a fuck. They're just right.
I know. It's just that's the thing. Like, you have all these great animated movies like Toy Story, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, and all those great films. Then you have the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. Need we say more?
We should do, Ollie. We should do a live stream talking about that animation needs to be mature.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what you're trying to make, but we'll talk about that at the very end. I just want to wrap up. So, and I love the ending. Andy thinks that his mum has bought him new toys. That's great. And the movie's got a nice happy ending, you know, and unlike Cars 3, it's not a bullshit happy ending. It's the focus of one character to the other.
Amen, brother.
Oh, fuck Cars 3. But, well, fuck the plot twist. The only thing I can say about Cars 3 is I'd recommend the first 2/3 of it. After that, fuck it, don't watch it.
Switch off, leave the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, just forget about it.
I loved it when I saw it.
Sorry, Lee, I don't mean to talk shit about it. I just didn't think that the...
No, it's fine, I mean, I'll admit, they kind of ended a bit weird, but, it was just... At least a good wrap-up.
It was like putting Cruz in the race instead of McQueen was just like, what? I mean, I'm sorry, but the movie's supposed to be about Lightning McQueen. Like, I get that she wanted to be a racer, but...
You do kind of make a good point.
Yeah. I mean, Alan hates it. At least Alan...
If Lightning McQueen hadn't won the race, at least let him finish the race, for God's sake. You know? Let him finish.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of cliche? Because don't you get that in most animated movies? Like, they just do it.
As I said to you in my comment, Lee, what they should have done was, in my opinion, was have McQueen finish the race, even if he wins or retire from racing, pass the company on to Cruz, and that's it. That's the end. Happy life. He retires to Radiator Springs, marries Sally, blah, blah, blah. Ending. That's good enough for me. But no! Oh, fuck. Anyway, I'm not going to rant about... I'm just going to get on to a rant, so I'll stick to Toy Story 2. But yeah, I mean, we could talk forever about the plot twist in Cars 3, but at least there are no unconventional plot twists in Toy Story 2. It's just magnificent, and the direction by John Lasseter I think is even better. I mean, given the hell that was the production of this movie, they turned it out really well. It's so good. I think it's better than the first one. I've always preferred it to the first one. There's just so much more going on.
Ollie?
Ollie just left. He's back.
Sorry about that. I was called. So overall, just to wrap up, I'm going to give this movie a perfect 10 out of 10. So we now move on to the third and final film of this trilogy. Also, I love the bloopers. They're great.
Sorry for going off. Sorry about that. You were saying, Ollie?
You're next anyway, so we're going to talk about Toy Story 3. So Lee.
Okay. Okay. This is a fucking great film. It may not be as good as How to Train Your Dragon 1, but it's still an amazing masterpiece.
And
the characters' animation is improvement over the first two. It's all fixed up. It's just, what more can I say? It's absolutely perfect. And the ending, though. This should. You know what? I'm saying this, but this is the proper Toy Story trilogy. And when the fourth one comes out, it'll be ruined. That's my thoughts. Awkward silence. Hello?
Waiting for all back. Ollie, Ollie, Ollie.
Yeah,
What
I
the fuck is
don't
going-
know when he's gonna come back.
Could be dead. Maybe he
Okay,
died.
Okay, so I guess you've said everything about Toy Story 3 you want to say, yes?
Yeah. It's perfect.
Okay.
The ending is the best part. Like, holy shit, it is sad.
Sad but happy at the same time. It's both. If you think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, happy and sad at the same time. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, well, I have every confidence Ollie's going to come back, but until he does, I guess, Harry, are you next in line? What do you think of Toy Story 3?
I sure am, Alan. Well, I mean, this is one of the greatest ever conclusions to a movie trilogy. Toy Story is one of those rare trilogies that has remained consistent in all three. I mean, and although this isn't my favorite of the trilogy, as everybody says it is, that would be Toy Story 2, but this is a close second, easily. I mean, and this is surprisingly the lowest rated of the Toy Story trilogy on Rotten Tomatoes. The first two have a 100% perfect score, and this one only has a 99% for some reason.
Only 99%.
Oh yes. Well, that's still a near perfect score.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still happy.
It'll do.
Yeah, I'm still happy about it, and it's also the only one in the trilogy not to be directed by John Lasseter, but by Lee Unkrich. But you wouldn't know the difference, to be honest, because he also does a amazing job directing, and it's basically just the emotional climax of this story. I mean, and just it's the darkest of the three. It's definitely more mature than the other two. I mean, I think this proves that Pixar movies are not kids' movies; they're family movies. Adults can watch them, I think, without. Oh, hi, Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
About that. I was called away by my mother.
That's all right. I kind of took over the hosting duties for you for a bit, and Harry is now expressing his opinion of Toy Story 3.
Oh, cool. Cheers, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's okay. And I do believe adults can watch Pixar movies without any kids to accompany them. They're that amazing. And this and Woody. This is again the conclusion of Woody's story too. And of course you have Andy, who's who's much older now. He's going off to college. He's left his childhood behind, and he's going through an emotional dilemma. What does he do with his old toys? Does he put them in the attic or take them with him to college? And Woody has to make the near impossible decision: does he stay with Andy or with the other toys? That for me is so compelling, and even though this movie came out 11 years after Toy Story 2 in 2010, it's the only one I got to see on the big screen with my mum and my sister, very luckily. But I actually think that works that it was released 11 years later. I
agree completely.
Yeah, because
Alan, you had to because you probably saw the second one in the cinema. You probably didn't think the third one was going to happen after a certain point.
Yeah, Toy Story 3 had been in development hell for quite a few years, and initially it had a completely different storyline. And this was also around the time when Walt Disney and Pixar got into a legal dispute for a while, and it looked for a little while that Disney and Pixar were going to go their separate ways, and Disney was going to try and make Toy Story 3 separate from Pixar, but thank the Lord that didn't happen, and that Disney and Pixar made up, and we got the eventual finished product that we got with Toy Story 3. It took a long time for Toy Story 3 to come out, but I think in the end it was well worth the wait, considering how wonderfully it turned out.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait, well, unnecessarily, for the next one. It would be 9 years after the third one by the time the fourth one comes out.
Oh yeah.
Another long wait, yeah.
Long wait with all the movies in this series, definitely. And if it had come out any sooner than it did, it just wouldn't have had the emotional impact, and I wouldn't have related to it as much because I was 15 when I saw it. I was pretty much near the same age as Andy, and going through stages of growing up, and Lotso Hagenbear. My God, Lotso is a amazing villain. Wow, talk about an excellent villain.
He smells like strawberries, but he's got the heart of a rotten egg.
Oh yeah, rotten egg is the correct word. Just he's although Toy Story 2 is my favorite movie in this series, Lotso is my favorite villain. Oh my God, I hate this guy. I mean, he has one of the best villain backstories I've ever seen, where he was loved by this little girl named Daisy, but she accidentally left him and replaced him, which just
kind of similar to Jessie in a way, but at least Jessie wasn't bitter about it. She was just sad, but she moved on with her life.
Yeah, Jessie could move on, but Lotso, it just ripped his heart out. He was depressed by it forever, and
he's a scary villain as well.
Yeah, they made a teddy bear legitimately intimidating.
No, we're talking about fucking peacocks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, with Lord Shen, absolutely. And
Harry, I mean, you could say that Lotso is really a dictator, and he's in charge of this prison known as Sunnyside, and he's basically the lord and master, and it's his way or the highway.
Exactly. He's a complete controlling, manipulative dictator. I mean, how they made a teddy bear one of the best movie villains ever is an incredible accomplishment. And Lotso doesn't. Not only does he and like Stinky Pete, he's an unpredictable villain. You don't think he's the villain, but obviously he's revealed in the twist, which I'm glad they didn't spoil that in the trailers. And Lotso does an unforgivable thing towards the end near the furnace when he just after the toys save his life, and he just has to push a button to save them, but he just leaves them to die. I'm like, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
But that's oh my
He
God.
was bait anything where the toys are talking to Lotso, and he's just so rude. I feel bad because all he wanted was his owner back.
You better stay in the butterfly room. I mean,
Yeah.
He's such a threatening guy, though.
I mean, you know, he talks in the Southern drawl, and he's not annoying. Nobody complains about him, but yet with Mater, they complain because he talks in the Southern drawl.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so true. Even after they saved him, he didn't save them in return. Yeah, I never. Yeah, he's just an unsalvageable villain, which was makes him the best. And the animation is magnificent. It's the best looking movie of the three, without a doubt. Coming out in 2010, and as well as continuing the mature themes of the first two. I mean, this is obviously the darkest of the three, and Sunnyside is pretty much a prison camp for the toys. But the movie still has plenty of fun too. To not make it too grim, and obviously Barbie, who was introduced in Toy Story 2, as you guys said, she gets a new love interest. She gets Ken, voiced by Michael Keaton. Which was wonderful.
I remember seeing this franchise in Disney on Ice.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Interesting introduction.
Oh God. Well, oh yeah. Well, I've never seen Disney on Ice, but anyway, yeah, yeah, and the moment when Ken's just trying on Barbie's outfits, it's funny as hell.
Oh, freak out!
Yeah.
The freaks, the
Love-
sheep freak out. Yeah, and yeah, and the movie obviously has the darkest, most intense scenes of the trilogy. The furnace scene,
Oh, no.
that will
Wow.
scare the fuck out of
That
kids.
scene made me cry.
Yeah, it did me. It was one of the moments in the trilogy that made me cry, along with Jesse's song. Yeah, where the toys just hold hands. They think there's no hope of escape, but thankfully Disney's like, you've got to have a happy ending. So at the last minute, the aliens pick them up in the claw. Yeah, that was amazing. And the ending of this movie is one of the saddest, most emotionally powerful endings I've seen in a while. When
This is
Andy
how you end the trilogy. Cars 3. Cough.
Oh yeah, Cars 3 has nothing on this movie, even though I did like Cars 3.
I cannot agree more.
Yeah, definitely, and I also love Bonnie. I think she's so sweet, and the toys couldn't have gone off to a better owner after Andy, and when Andy.
On your point about Bonnie, the scene when like Woody's in her house and she's playing with him and then her toys, like, oh, that's so sweet. Like when she's like making up all these things, and oh, it's so cute.
That is lovely. That really encourages kids to be imaginative. These movies are they're great for kids, and yeah, obviously, what the ending for me is the perfect ending for this trilogy. It when the toys are left at Bonnie's and Andy's gone and has grown up and living his own life, it doesn't need to be continued. I don't want a Toy Story 4. I know some people say,
Oh yeah, and hang on. And near the ending, the scene where Andy's getting ready for college, the scene where the mother's upset that she's gonna miss him, is so goddamn sad.
It's relatable to adults
Oh.
out there.
oh yeah, when he hugs her before he leaves. God, that
Fucking sad as fuck.
that brings a
And
tear to-
and the first one has a kiddie concept. This one is so goddamn emotional.
Like Andy looks so different in this movie. I mean, obviously he's older, but like his hair as well. Like you go, wow, this guy's really changed.
He reminds me a bit of Hiccup, honestly.
Oh yeah.
For summing
I
that
think a
up,
lot of animated characters have reminded me of Hiccup. Hero from Big Hero 6 looks a lot like Hiccup. Andy from Toy Story 3 looks a lot like Hiccup. And have you guys seen the movie Capture the Flag from last year?
no.
No.
Oh, it's actually pretty good. But the main character, Mike, in it looks a lot like Hiccup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, obviously he's a popular character to imitate. Yeah, definitely that brings a tear to my eye. But I know some people say, oh, but Harry Toy Story 4 may be good. No, I don't think it will. I don't see it.
If it is at least decent, it won't compare to the first three. I don't think. I think it's going to be at best good, but not great.
Well, yeah, only time will tell if it surprises. But I think it's the most
But it doesn't make sense how all these unnecessary sequels are coming out, especially by DreamWorks. Like, we got Shrek 5, Madagascar 4, Toy Story 4, and fucking Trolls 2.
Well, yeah. Well,
And don't forget the meme movie, even though that's not a sequel, but
Oh, I believe that was fake, but really?
it's pretty real to me.
Well, yeah, exactly. Those sequels are unnecessary as well. It's because,
To be fair, I'd rather have Toy Story 4 than like another trilogy of Cars.
well, oh yeah, I made that joke in my Cars 3 review. At least Cars 3 was more necessary than Toy Story 4, which I still stand by that opinion.
I'm sorry, I didn't think Cars 3 was necessary at all. I think the only necessary Cars movie was the first one. Really.
Oh, okay.
I think I think, like, yeah, that is a good point. Like, the first film is fine the way it is, but I still thought the sequels were great. I still, like, found them entertaining.
Oh,
But
maybe Alan isn't the only one who loves Cars 2.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I have a very strong soft spot for Cars 2, even though everybody around me says it sucks. But I actually like it a whole lot, you know, and I stand by that.
yeah, it's great. But, like, the first one is better. I find the first one a bit better.
I like the second one better, even though I know I'm in the minority. I know I'm in the minority, but my opinion's my opinion, and I like the second one a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to be criticized.
Well, I'm just saying because I've heard so much shit about Cars 2. It's like everybody around me hates it with a passion, like the folks at Pixar committed a crime against humanity for making Cars 2. And just in short, I just think it's great.
I remember when it came out. I remember when it came out in Turkey, when I went to Turkey back in 2011.
Yeah. I'll just say in short, because I know we're talking about the Toy Story movies, that, you know, that the Cars 2, I'm a James Bond fan, so the spy plot appealed to me. Mater the tow truck does not annoy me, as he annoys a lot of other people. And
He's funny. He's a dick fucker.
I found the second Cars movie to be a lot of fun, even though everybody around me says it sucks. But I like it.
Oh.
What can I say? I like it.
Great.
Lee, I have a question for you. Who do you prefer? Mate of the tow truck or Linguini from Ratatouille?
Oh, God, that's a good one. Mater, maybe? But I haven't seen Ratatouille in a long time.
Yeah. I still say Linguini was based on Jerry Lewis. You know,
Question is so with Ratatouille was bloody hilarious.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Ratatouille is a classic.
I love it too.
I remember loving it when I was little.
I like it, but I don't
still love it.
It's kind of weird, but I think it was fun. But I see a lot of problems with it. It's flawed, but it's decent.
Yeah.
Alan,
although I prefer Flushed Away.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that far, but I mean, I know Alan doesn't like Ratatouille.
Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Rat cooking.
Well, you'll be surprised on what franchise I think is very overrated.
What?
Maybe I shouldn't say it.
Let's get back on track with Toy Story because we're digressing.
Those sequels. I can understand if you guys give Toy Story 4 a pass, but I think it's pointless. But that's just me. But Toy Story 3, it is such a it's a wonderful, magnificent, emotionally powerful, and perfect ender to the greatest animated trilogy of all time. I have no gripes with it. It's my second favorite of these movies. If it weren't for Toy Story 2, this would be number one. And it's my second favorite animated film of 2010, second only to How to Train Your Dragon. And it also is the third animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture, which was record-breaking, along with Beauty and the Beast and Up. And it was robbed of that Oscar. It's a shame it lost to The King's Speech. But anyway, I'm going to gladly rate Toy Story 3 a 10 out of 10.
Not good enough, Graham. Not good enough. It deserves more. No, it won't stand for it. Only joking. So, I guess we now pass the microphone to Josh.
Where do I start with Toy Story 3? Okay, again, this is my favorite of the trilogy. I saw this when my mom rented it on Redbox in 2010, and I watched it. I loved it. I liked the beginning of the movie because his imagination with like episode of Roundup, and then we got the shore and Mr. Potato Head, and the beginning is awesome, but it did take a long time to get this made, but it paid off. Go to this point. A few people tend to say this one is overrated. I think so. Praise God. I can see why they don't like the fact that this is a much down part two, but yeah, I admit it does get a little bit too dark in a few areas. That Toy still makes Phil.
Hello.
Right, Louie. We're just wrapping up on Toy Story 3, so when we're finished, I'll let you do your summaries on all three, and then we'll close off.
Oh, awesome! Thanks. And sorry I'm late, guys.
And then
don't make it happen.
The acting is so gory, and you see that Andy is no longer a kid, and that part because you're getting older, have to move on. And like when they go to Sunday, but then some extreme stuff starts to happen at Sunnyside. Lotso is my favorite villain in the Toy Story trilogy because you think he's a good guy, but one thing I'm happy that the brothers doing was that they but in the movie he's actually not who you think he is. He's a conniving jerk to the toys, and he runs stuff, and I like his backstory with Daisy, and he used to do everything with her, and he thinks she threw them out. Also, she lost him, and that broke with Jessie. At least she moves on, but Lotso does not move on. He goes as far as turning Buzz to Star Command, and then as far as locking the toys in the room, caterpillar room, in different parts of the cap, and this is the one scene in Toy Story 3 that I hate. This is the only scene I hate. It comes back and goes Spanish boys. They go into the garbage, which thing. They'll find them with his other toys, and they break the telephone toy, and then Stretch finds them, and Woody and Lotso are easy, and then he has the pendant that the newer toy gives him, and then Woody turns it over to Big Baby, and Big Baby he says he wants his owner, and then Lotso objects to saying, "She never loved you. Don't be such a baby." He screams at the baby and breaks in. I was like, this is too much, Disney. This is too much. But now that I'm more, I get used to it, but that's still my least favorite scene. And was just hitting the baby with the stick, saying, "This is what happens, dummy." I'm like, would you just shut up or somebody you already? And then when Big Baby picks him up and throws him into the garbage, that was turned. I was like, thank you. And then they save him. But he just pays them back by not pressing the button. And the furnace scene is the most intense part. And you think toys are not going to make it out because they would have ended it like the trilogy like this. It would have been too depressing. So I'm glad we got a happy ending. And and I don't blame anybody for not crying. Ending is satisfying, which is why I say the story 4 is not needed. Cool anime films, some of them are not needed, but those who did enjoy Trolls and Trolls 2 isn't much worth it, in my opinion. I'd rather watch Trolls 2
I'm back.
over Toy Story. The animation is great. The music is great. I'm glad this got for best animated feature, and just new toys they bring in is really cool, and just the trilogy come full circle. This is the end. We do not need any more.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Exactly. That
And
Toy Story 3 is the end.
In my opinion, Toy Story 3. This is one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite anime movies of all time, and this is how a third installment is done. Not 169 minutes long. It is not with a bunch of subplots. It's not convoluted either. This is just a simple story with a short runtime, an hour and 3 minutes. So I gotta give Toy Story 3 a 10 out of 10.
Fantastic. Nice, Josh. Glad you love it. So, Alan, what do you think of Toy Story 3? And was it worth the 11-year wait?
Oh, absolutely it was. I totally love Toy Story 3. This is my second favorite of the 3 Toy Story movies. As I said before, hold on, I'm hearing some noise.
Oh, not bad.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, I think the reason it was held up for so long is because there was a dispute going on between Disney and Pixar at the time. Thankfully, they were able to make amends.
Yeah.
But because of that dispute, Toy Story 3 got held up for quite a while.
But then they made other films.
What's that?
Then they just made other films.
Yeah, exactly. Originally, it had a completely different plot, which I'm glad they did away with. I think the original plot was that Buzz Lightyear had broken down, and so he got sent off overseas to the factory from which he came in the hopes that he would be repaired. And then something went wrong with Buzz, and his delay in coming back home happened, and so the toys led by Woody went on an adventure overseas to rescue Buzz from the factory. But the fact is, we've already had a Toy Story movie where Buzz needed to be rescued, which was the first film. So there was no need for them to rehash it. And this was going to be the plot of Toy Story 3 had it been made by Disney without Pixar. But thankfully, when Disney and Pixar made up, Pixar, threw that plot right out the window involving breaking down, and I'm sure glad they did. And they went for the much more meaningful plot about what happens when Andy finally grows up, and he's going off to college. What happens to the toys? And that makes a much more intriguing plot than Buzz Lightyear breaking down and having to be rescued.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you agree with Harry that it couldn't have been released at a more perfect time, literally in real time, 10 years after the previous events of the film, of the second one?
Sure. I mean, if we want to assume that maybe Andy was around 8 years old when we saw him in Toy Story 2, so it makes sense that he would be about 18 and going off to college. So I guess it makes sense. I guess it would make perfect sense. And of course, the more years that passed, the more hungry I think us fans became for the third movie. But I think the timing is right, considering how old Andy was at the time. And I'm also thankful that they made the movie before Don Rickles passed away as the voice of Mr. Potato Head, because he was already an elderly man in his 80s. So thankfully he lived to voice Mr. Potato Head one more time.
Oh, actually, speaking of people passing away, at the time they had to recast Slinky Dog because the original actor passed away after the second movie. So they cast another guy who did an impression of the original actor.
Right. Well, the new guy, I don't remember the new voice actor's name, but he did a spot-on impression of the original Slinky Dog, Jim Varney.
Oh, the new guy's called Blake Clark. That name just came back to me. Yeah.
Okay, Blake Clark. Yeah, no, he did a spot-on Jim Varney impression, so I thought it was a very seamless transaction from Jim Varney and into the new guy, Blake Clark. So I thought he did a really good job as the new voice of Slinky. But the fact is, if they're going ahead with a Toy Story 4, they now have to recast the voice of Mr. Potato Head. And I don't know who you can get instead of the one and only Don Rickles to voice him. So that's
it's either that or not have him in it, which would be terrible.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see.
That's kind of like from Cars 3 when they had flashbacks of Doc Hudson. I believe it probably was a different actor, or...
No, what they had was unused dialogue from the first film.
Yeah, that was unused. It was unused dialogue from the original Cars recording sessions, and that's what they use on Cars 3.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They could do that with Don Rickles for the fourth movie, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I don't think there should be a Toy Story 4.
Yeah. We'll talk about
that. We'll get to that shortly. Let's see. I'm still hearing noise. Sorry.
No. My apologies.
Okay. Thank you. So anyway, where was I? Anyway, the plot is really, really great, really intriguing stuff. I mean, what happens to the toys after Andy grows up and goes off to college? And as we can see, when the movie begins, he's already gotten rid of some of the toys, including Woody's beloved girlfriend, Bo Peep. Although apparently she's going to return in a big, big way in Toy Story 4. We'll get to that. Well, like I said, we'll get back to that in a moment. But we can see that, there's not as many toys in Andy's room as there were in the first two.
Come from staff meeting, and then it's like, oh, we are gathered up, Woody, and there's only this small group of them.
Yeah, it's a smaller group now. Which is understandable. I mean, Andy's growing up, and he's not playing with toys so much anymore, and he's got a computer now.
I'd be kind of worried if he did.
Yeah. I mean, you're never too old to completely outgrow toys, but the fact is, you're not really going to be playing with them all that much as you get older, which is to be expected. So basically, we can just imagine that he kept these particular toys because obviously they are his very favorite, very
sentimental
favorite
value.
Yeah, sentimental value, but as you can see, he basically just kept them in the toy box and just isn't playing with them anymore. He keeps them, but he doesn't play with them anymore. So that was interesting. So the toys are...
I wonder if Andy will get mentioned in the fourth film.
I doubt very much. I doubt it.
What makes you think that?
Well, the torch is now passed from Andy to Bonnie. And I think
Bonnie now.
Yeah, we'll see Bonnie. Andy's gone to college.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I think that he will be mentioned, not in great detail, but like in passing, because obviously if Bo Peep's coming back, we'll probably hear like a mention of, oh, Andy's mum sold you to whoever she ended up with.
Well, maybe we could see a scene of him in college, maybe at the end.
I don't think we're actually going to see him as such, but I think he'll be mentioned in passing.
I agree. Because
I hear that Toy Story 4 is not actually about the people. It's not like the previous 3 films have been about the interaction between kids and their toys, whereas this is supposed to be a love story. It's supposed to be quite separate from the trilogy.
And
so a standalone sequel.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of supposed to be a love story on Bo and Woody, based on John Lasseter, the creator of Pixar, the director of the first and second film. It's supposed to be based on his relationship with his wife Nancy.
Oh, nice. Lee, I mean, obviously you're entitled to your opinion. I just feel that if you do that, you kind of derail the point of the first 3. The fact that it would take away from the ending that is so perfect in Toy Story 3. I'm obviously you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just saying, I just don't think it was...
Yeah, I understand, but I was just having a little bit of a prediction that I think it would be cool, but yeah, I do agree. But it would be nice for them to at least not ignore things that made the first three so good, if you get what I mean.
I'm sure they'll acknowledge him in some way, but I don't think they'll show him. I think he's gone. He's out of the story. And, you know, that's his story.
They'll mention him in passing, but we won't actually see him.
Yeah, I agree with Alan and Louie on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the torch has been passed. Andy's moved on. The toys now belong to Bonnie. So that's that.
Kind of like I was expecting for a mention of Shen, but we never got a mention.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different story.
Go.
Sorry, Alan.
Carry on. Shall I continue?
Yeah. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, the plot is very, very intriguing, and I think it's wonderfully written, and it still has that wonderful balance of comedy and drama, and how the toys eventually wind up at the daycare center, where we meet Lotso Huggy Bear, who turns out to be a terrific villain, voiced by Ned Beatty. Although we get to learn his backstory about why he became such a
suddenly that sense of fresh strawberries is wearing off.
Right, exactly. But we get to see why he became the bitter teddy bear that he became, which was very interesting. And of course, Barbie finally meets her Ken, which was brilliantly funny.
Yes.
And Ken, wonderfully voiced by Michael Keaton, and it's just so damn funny. And of course,
Jesus Christ, I didn't know that until now. Michael Keaton. Holy shit.
I know, Batman.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
Vulture from Spider-Man.
Yep. That's the very same. Yeah, and of course, it all culminates in that hysterically funny scene where he's doing the fashion show for Barbie while we're hearing the disco music.
Also, you could say it culminates when Ken has a change of heart. He comes out in his underwear to the bin, and he says, "Sunnyside could be cool and groovy. It's Lotso. He's turned us into a prison, and he put himself on top."
Oh yeah, no, it's really, really great stuff. I mean, I love all the stuff with Barbie and Ken in this movie. That's really, really well done. The dilemma that the toys get in, where they get put in that one playroom where they are literally abused by these horrible, horrible kids who throw them around and abuse them. And oh my God, I feel so bad.
Think like Darla from the Finding Nemo, but like 100 of them.
Yeah, it's just awful seeing the toys get I mean, practically just wrecked, wrecked, by these unruly.
It's almost torture. Children. It's torture.
Yeah. It's torture. It's just terrible seeing them go through this. Then end the whole thing with Buzz Lightyear, and then he gets captured. He's momentarily reprogrammed. They reset him, and he momentarily turns against his friends. And then we get the later scene though where they recapture him, and they accidentally put him into Spanish mode, which is one of the highlights of the movie. One of the funniest parts in the movie where Buzz goes into Spanish mode. And then he falls head over heels in love with Jessie. His whole romancing of Jessie.
Oh, when he does his dance. Oh, that is funny.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his Spanish and he's romancing her. And there's that one great shot where I think he sees Jessie for the first time, and we see Jessie turn to face him, and it's like in this glowing light, and it's in slow motion. And, we see Buzz, fall to his knees, and he's just totally in love with her, Senorita, it's just...
Also, the latest scene in the dumpster, he's like, Senorita, acostado! And then he rescues her from underneath the rubble, and then there's a slow motion shot of him running, and then...
And Karen, he's running in slow motion, and she's in love, and he's in love, and yeah, it's
so really
funny stuff. It's definitely one of the highlights of the movie. Him doing his Mexican... I guess, I don't know, mating dance around her. It's really, really funny stuff. The stuff where they try to escape from the daycare center, I love that whole scene where Woody meets the telephone toy, and the telephone toy is telling him how to escape. You got to get past the monkey.
Get rid of that monkey.
Everything. You got to get that monkey. You know?
It's so good.
Yeah, just really, really funny stuff, how they orchestrate their escape, and it all hinges getting that wind-up monkey with the symbols. Very, very funny stuff. The whole thing with Mr. Potato Head, how he has to go undercover, and it's only this floppy tortilla that's holding all his parts together. It's just so damn funny. And yet we get the serious stuff when we get Lotto's backstory about him being abandoned by his child in a misunderstanding, and he comes back to the house, but he's been replaced by a different Lotso bear, and it just destroys him and becomes this very angry, bitter teddy bear forevermore. Which is really sad to see. I mean,
he'll tell you.
I mean, it's sad. I mean, we understand his motivation, but you really know that he's a hopeless case and can never, be reformed when he does that horribly heartless, cruel thing of leaving Woody and friends to die in the furnace. He just leaves them to die in there, and it's like
that's an iconic scene. That's just chilling.
Torn apart. He really wanted to be torn apart for doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I was completely satisfied with his comeuppance where he gets tied to that truck grill forevermore. And I don't know. I wanted something more punishing.
Or maybe if they just, I wouldn't say maybe left it.
Oh, no, I loved that. I thought that was such a cool ending for him because he's been so used to pushing people around and being a bully because essentially his character is a bully. And now he's stuck onto that dumper truck for the rest of his days.
I suppose.
Eating flies and being with those manky teddy bears who are just like mocking him. So he's just like,
I'm with Alan on this one.
He's truly discarded.
I think what could have happened was maybe if the toys from Sunnyside had tracked him down and maybe imprisoned him and basically got their revenge on him. And then,
but I think that's the best form of imprisonment because no toys, at the end of the day, they've got they're conscious. They've done nothing wrong. They haven't harmed him. They didn't kill him. Woody even tried to help him right up until the end.
And it's not worth it. Yeah.
And exactly, he's not worth it. And fate, it's like his own karma came and got him. Like no one had to do anything to he sealed his own fate. If that makes sense.
Kid, strawberries.
I suppose, but I think there was just a part of me that wanted something a little more than that. But I can see your point that he's not going to be played with anymore. He's going to be stuck on that truck grill forevermore. Yeah. So I suppose. Let's see. The voice cast is great. It's wonderful to have the old reliable voices of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Excuse me. John Cusack, Don Rickles, and all the rest. Really great. Of course, you got Michael Keaton doing the voice of Ken. It's really, really great voice cast here. I love...
Tom Hanks is also good in The Polar Express and The Circle.
Yeah, that's a great film, The Polar Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay. I also like the other toys that we meet that are owned by Bonnie, who will eventually become Woody and Buzz and Friends' new owner. But she has her own set of toys, like the Triceratops. And we got to mention the voice of Mr. Pricklepants, former James Bond Timothy Dalton.
I'm trying to stay in character.
Who'd have thunk it? Timothy Dalton doing the voice of Mr. Pricklepants. Yeah, no,
when he says, "Oh, Chuckles," he'll tell you.
Yes.
And in the credits, he does his Romeo and Juliet performance.
Right. I enjoyed that. Maybe they can do a production of Hamlet. Yeah, that was funny. Hamlet. So it's great to hear him. And again, I just love the Triceratops. Yeah, Mr. Pricklepants, the unicorn. They're all wonderful new toys. The rag doll. Yeah, I mean, they're really
Alan,
great.
Fun fact, the unicorn is voiced by the same actor who voices the captain in WALL-E.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's the exact same voice actor. Yes. Well spotted, Ollie. Yeah. So yeah, great new cast of characters. I love Bonnie. She's a wonderful little girl. If Andy has to pass on his toys to somebody, he couldn't have picked a better successor than Bonnie. I was very moved by the scene where he's giving her his toys, and he's describing each toy to her. Will you take good care of him for me? We take good care of her for me. And then finally, he gives her Woody. And initially he didn't want to, but you know, Bonnie makes that face at him, and you know, Andy has second thoughts, and he says, oh, he's thinking to himself, okay, I'll give her Woody.
Yeah.
And you know, talks about Woody and how much Woody means to him, and you know, will you take good care of him for me? And you know, and he gives her Woody.
Can I ask you, Alan? Does Andy allude to the idea that he kind of has an idea that Woody comes to life? Because he says, oh, you know, Woody, the thing that makes him special is he'll never give up on you. He'll be there for you. Do you think that is an allusion to the idea that he knows Woody comes to life?
Probably not, because I think
maybe in Disney Infinity he does.
I don't know, because I think a bigger deal would have been made about it if he knew that Woody or any of his toys could come to life. So I'm
with Alan on that. I think he just meant it as like Woody's been there, like his childhood toy, like his best toy kind of thing. Like he's always been there as a toy for him to play with.
I'm not saying it as a criticism. It's just I was always wondering if that.
Oh no, I get what you're saying. I think you could maybe like it's like a sly hint, but you could see it that way. But personally, I kind of see it as just like this is how much he's been there. He's like for all the bad times in my life, he's always been there for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess so.
That's probably what it means. It also has to be said, I mean, the movie does take a very surprisingly dark turn before we get that emotional ending with the scene at the junkyard, and then it goes into the furnace where we think all our toys are going to be destroyed in the furnace. I mean, it's horrifying. It's really horrifying. And then that scene where they look at each other and they grab each other's hands, thinking that there's no hope for escape. And then, of course, that brilliant last-minute rescue by the alien toys with the claw, which was just perfect. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better rescue, more perfect last-minute rescue than that.
I mean, how did they get there? Because they got like destroyed by not destroyed, but they got pushed away by the dumpster thing, and then so how did they get up there?
Question, but somehow they survived and they managed to get up there. They must have seen that crane thing in front of them and thought to themselves, the claw, and I guess they sensed that that their friends were in trouble and they had to get them out right away. So they used that crane device, I guess. But yeah, thank God they survived. Otherwise, all our favorite toys would have been cooked, literally.
Yeah.
So the movie was very, very brave to have that scene in it, because I mean, if you were a child in the theater, you would just be horrified, thinking that the toys weren't going to make it out.
I mean, at least it didn't falsely advertise itself being dark, unlike Cars 3. Cough.
Right. And anyway, there's a happy ending anyway, where they are rescued from the furnace, and then that leads into that emotional ending with Andy handing the toys over to Bonnie, which I think was a beautiful, beautiful ending. I definitely got a tear in my eye watching that.
Yeah.
And also seeing as we see in the end credits that Woody and company are doing just fine, in the care of Bonnie and her toys, and seeing how Barbie and Ken are doing so well at the daycare center.
Yeah. Sounds like cool and groovy.
Right. That's great fun to see. So it's an ending that's, on the one hand, it's sad because, Andy goes away, but on the other hand, he gave his toys to Bonnie. So it's a happy ending at the same time that the toys are safe with Bonnie. And, they've got a good home, and it's really, really moving stuff. It was definitely worth the wait. It's a beautifully done film. It's in my personal top 5 Pixar movies. So I really do love the third Toy Story movie a lot, even though I have a little bit more affection for the second one. But Toy Story 3 is still wonderful and an instant classic.
You prefer it to the first one, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The first Toy Story is a classic, but I do like the second and third movies better. I think the stories are a little bit better. The animation is certainly better. So I do feel closer to Toy Stories 2 and 3, but I do have great appreciation and affection for the first one.
Notice you mentioned. What about the opening scene? Did you like the opening?
Oh yes, the opening scene where they do this big epic thing where they're doing what if Andy's imagination when he's playing with his toys was real. So instead of seeing Andy playing with his toys and playing with a train set, we actually see Woody on an actual train on an adventure with Buzz and
the lines
Jesse.
from the first film are recycled. Like, I eat my.
Yeah, it's a nice tribute to the first film because it's essentially the same role play as the first film, but we see it from the toys' point of view. Whereas in the first film, we saw it from Andy's point of view.
Right.
Now we actually see it's like, well, we see it from the toys' point of view in the first one, but at this one, it's kind of what Andy sees as he's playing with them, like in his imagination.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, it's really wonderfully done, and it's this big epic action adventure scene. It starts off as a Western, and then Ham shows up in the spaceship, and
evil Dr. Porkchop.
Yes, Mr. Porkchop. Yeah, it's really inventive. It's a lot of great fun.
I love the way it segues into the montage of, like, it's funny, the amateur footage of Andy's mum recording the video, and then cut to black, we're back in the present day. It's like the last bit of Andy's childhood leaving, like, gone. That's it.
Right. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. But yeah, it's really, really well done. It's a lot of great fun. And yeah, Toy Story 3, yeah, it's a really wonderful movie. It's definitely another Pixar classic, and it would have made a great ending to this trilogy of stories. I don't think you could have asked for a better ending for this story, but the fact is we now know John Lasseter is going ahead with a Toy Story 4. Briefly, I think I was just going to say, I think the reason for that is because John Lasseter, going inside the mind of John Lasseter, if we can for a moment, I think because he thinks that Toy Story 3 left one little piece of unfinished business behind, which is what about Woody and Bo Peep? Because Buzz Lightyear and Jesse have gotten together, but what about Woody? Where's his girlfriend? So I think John Lasseter wants to bring back Bo Peep and get Woody and Bo Peep back together again, which will require one more movie to do that, and then he can finally close the book for good on the Toy Story saga. So I think that's why we're getting a Toy Story 4. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for Toy Story 4. I just hope John Lasseter knows what he's doing.
Let's hope it doesn't break the cycle of awesome of this series.
Yeah. So I hope he knows what he's doing. I mean, look, I'll give it a chance, and I think it's safe to say they will bring back that they'll bring back Annie Potts doing the voice of Bo Peep. And sure, if Woody and Bo Peep can get back together again, sure, that'd be a nice way to wrap things up. But I just hope.
Was it intentional for her not to come back to the third one, like Annie Potts, or was she busy? Could she not make Toy Story 3, which is why they had to write her
She was
out?
in the original draft, but what happened was when they were researching the incinerator scene, because Bo Peep is made of china, like the china, she's like made of like a fine china glass thing. She would have melted. So they wanted it to be realistic, but the voice actress came back and did the game for Toy Story 3. And literally, she would have been up for doing it, but they said they didn't want to scar kids by like killing Bo Peep, so she was put aside. Otherwise, she would have been in the film.
Yeah,
interesting.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on Toy Story 4, and I hope they can give a good wrap up to Woody and Bo Peep's love story and a good wrap up to the whole saga. But anyway, so I'm open to Toy Story 4. I'll give it a chance. But as for Toy Story 3, it's brilliant. It's wonderful. Toy Story 2 is my personal fave, but Toy Story 3, second fave. And of course, I give Toy Story 3.
What gives Toy Story 2 the edge over 3?
I think because it's funnier. It moves along a little quicker. It's a little bit more livelier for me. But that's no disrespect on Toy Story 3, but also maybe because Toy Story 3 turns a little shade too dark at that one particular portion in the movie.
Oh, with the furnace,
even though obviously the toys survive that horrible scene, but still, it's a very dark moment when we get to that part of the film. Toy Story 2 is a little lighter in tone.
At least Mrs. Potato Head got more to do.
Yeah. But hey, I love Toy Story 3. Don't get me wrong. It's in my top 5 favorite Pixar films. And I give Toy Story 3 a perfect 10 out of 10.
Woo! Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Also, it's worthy to note they have a Spanish version of "You've Got a Friend in Me" in the credits with Buzz and Jesse doing their sort of tango dance.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to end the film. Yeah.
So good. And also, actually, Alan, the music score it also gets very intense. Would you agree?
Yeah, the music score is great. The music score is really, really powerful. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I love Toy Story 3. It's the only one of the 3 that I've actually got the chance to see at the cinema for obvious reasons, because I was too young to see the first 2. I wasn't even born when the first one came out. But this one surprised me. It's actually my second favorite Pixar movie. Yeah, I believe it's that good. It is a bit darker than the first 2, but I think it benefits from that. I just love the story. It was perfect, and you know, they couldn't have told a better story. The progression. I mean, the fact that a lot of time has passed in real life, as well as the narrative of the trilogy, is actually brilliant. I think it was perfect that they released this like 11 years after the second one. Although, because I think they've created more of an emotional impact by doing this, because a lot of the audience who watched the first 2 have now grown up slightly. I mean, it kind of got to me, and I was only 13 when the third one came out. I mean, a lot of adults who grew up, well, a lot of young kids who grew up by the time the third one was out, they really connected with it, and I think everybody connected with it. I mean, Jeremy Johnson in his review, whether you are from the age of 1 to 100, you can enjoy the Toy Story trilogy. The third one just as much. I love the story, and I think, you know, Andy going to college is brilliant. I mean, the opening sequence is brilliant. The way it starts off as like a big action scene in Andy's imagination, and then it ends like we have the archive, well, the footage of which is recorded on Andy's mum's phone of his, like, the end of his childhood, which is brilliant. And then cut to black, and then boom, we're back in the present day. It's interesting. This is a very different movie. The fact that all the toys have been pretty much discarded into the toy box, they've been stuck in there for about 10 years. So it's well, not 10 years, but the last few years anyway. So they have really been underplayed with, and I mean, it's great to see how far they've come in that time. And there's only a few of them left. And he's kept the ones with the most sentimental value. There is a reference to Bo Peep, and I do love that. Like when they say, oh yeah, we've lost friends along the way, you know, Wheezy and Etch and Bo Peep, yeah, even right. Bo. And I thought that was sad. I mean, because I was obviously wondered why she wasn't in the film, but then Louie thankfully explained it to me just now. You know, Woody's trying to you know, keep them positive. He's like, oh, you know, Andy's going to tuck us in the attic. It'll be fine. We'll live up there. But obviously things take a turn for the worst. Fun fact, the garbage man that comes past is actually Sid. Yeah, Sid makes a cameo in this movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at his shirt, it's the same shirt that he wears in the first film movie. But obviously in this film, he's just listening to his music. He's going, bah, bah, bah.
And it's the same voice actor.
It is actually, yeah. It's the same guy voicing him.
Like, it's the same guy who plays Andy as well.
But for me, another reason why Toy Story 3 is my favorite of the 3 is it's the most dramatic. It really is. I mean, it is a bit more serious than the first 2, but there is some comedy here. But the scene in the car is great. Like, Woody's trying to say to the toys that, you know, Andy does care about them, and he didn't mean to, you know, get you sent into the trash. His mum thought you were trash, but they don't believe him, and it goes on from there. And then Woody leaves. He somehow breaks out of the sunny side, and he finds his way to Bonnie's house, which is nice. And I love the whole idea of Sunnyside. Basically, it's like a prison for toys, and run by the dictator known as Lotso Hugging Bear. The fact that he smells like strawberries doesn't make him a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's basically a dick. I mean, obviously, you understand why he is the way he is. I mean, he feels betrayed. He felt like Daisy had abandoned him. Like, obviously, she left him behind by accident, but then he was replaced. And that is what touches the nerve. He's like, because that's eventually toys, you know, owners outgrow the toys and they're replaced all the time. So that's why he runs the daycare. But obviously, he and the main toys get put in the butterfly room, which is the lovely room. And then Andy's toys are thrown into the caterpillar room, which is basically the shit room, the torture room. I mean, you thought Daniel Craig getting whacked in the balls was torture. This is, you know, how do you think they feel? I mean, fuck. Yeah. This is intense. I mean, it was all in the trailer. We all saw it. One that particularly struck me was when the little girl like licking Buzz. Ugh, it's just disgusting. Yeah. And you know, I think the movie's just so much. There's so much tension here, and there's so much emotional weight to it. I love the prison break scene. It cracks me up. It's hilarious when Mr. Potato Head turns into the tortilla, and like he forcibly gets himself thrown in the box. And he's like, "No, put me down. I was joking. I like escorts." And Ken and Barbie, just great. I mean, Barbie was all right in the second movie, but she didn't really get much character development. They just threw her in there because she was iconic. In this movie, she has a relationship with Ken, which is nice. And Michael Keaton as Ken was just perfect.
I agree.
And as all you guys have said, the scene when he's trying on the outfits, freak out! And I love the scene later on when he jumps out and then he's like, ready, what? And he's like doing the ninja moves, and he's like, Barbie? And then she's like, no more games, Ken. You know, where's the manual? You know, and that was a great scene. And then Bobby, disguised in Ken's astronaut outfit, goes to the worm and is like, I don't know why this couldn't wait till morning, but here you go. And then he gives her the manual, and he's like, yeah. Like, looks at the like, obviously because she's wearing high heels. So that was funny. I find this movie pretty damn hilarious. I mean, there are some great. It's probably the weakest comedy of the series, but I don't mind that. There's still enough laughs in here. There's enough light relief, particularly with Bonnie's toys. I mean, I think Timothy Dalton is a riot as Mr. Pricklepants. I mean, when he's like, excuse me, I'm trying to stay in character. And then when they're being played with, he's like, you classically trained. And Sunnyside is a place of ruin and despair, ruled by an evil bear who smells of strawberries. Just the way he delivers his lines.
Classic Dalton, classic.
So dramatic. And again, in the end credits, when he's doing his Romeo performance, like, soft through yonder window, sweet Romeo, wherefore right there, Romeo. That was funny.
That's great stuff, yeah.
I mean, all the characters from the first two are back, and they're all great. I love Woody in this movie. Buzz as well. Jessie is great too. She's much more. I think she's much more braver in this movie. I mean, she's more emotionally strong and she's more emotionally hard. She's dealt with a lot, and she feels like the past has come back to haunt her. Like she says, "Oh, it's Emily all over again." But at least this time, she's been through it before, so she's kind of dealing with it. She's coping with it, and she stands up for herself. She says to Lotso, you know, you're a liar and a bully. I'd rather rot in this dumpster than join any family of yours. And, you know, that's a great scene. I mean, the scene by the garbage bin is dramatic as hell, and Lotso just loses it. I mean, when Woody says to him, what about Daisy? I don't know what you're talking about. And then, you know, he steps on the little heart locket thing. Oh, you want your mommy back? She don't love you. Don't be such a baby. That, I mean, I love that scene. It's great. And then he's just saying, you know, this is what happens when you dummies do all this. We're all just trash waiting to be thrown away. That's all a toy is. I mean, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, the drama in this movie is fantastic. I mean, because you really feel like you're being put in this from a toy's perspective. You see their issues, the issues we can't really relate to because we're not toys. We can see it from one side, obviously, because we're the owners. We've owned toys, and you know, this is just brilliant. I mean, Pixar, genius, absolutely genius. I think the pacing's great. I love the ending. I mean, I know some of you guys have said it goes a bit too dark. I disagree. I think it shocked me how dark it was. Like when they go.
I agree with you. I don't think it's as like that dark. I mean, it's dark for a kids' film,
It's
but
dark
I think it's
enough.
really. I think you need that because it's the last film. Well, it was supposed to be the last film. It was like advertised as the final part of this franchise. So you kind of the stakes are raised. Like that incinerator scene, you really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
Like they really drag it out.
Exactly. I mean, I love this bit in the dumpster, like when they're all like they were trying to avoid the spiky thing, spinning things. I don't know what they're called. That's destroying all the garbage, and then they get something magnetic to get them onto the top of the ceiling, and then Woody, being the good person that he is, goes over to Lotso and helps him. But obviously, Lotso, being the prick that he is, betrays them. I mean,
Where's your kid now, cowboy?
Where's your kid now, Sheriff? The furnace scene. My fucking god, that was intense. That made me cry. That scene. As I said earlier. I mean, just the moment like when they say, oh, "I don't think that's daylight," and then they're just running, and the music for that scene is intense.
It's the music that dun 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 dun, and they're all like looking at each other.
Like even when it starts, da 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 da, and then I mean even that was great. When Lotso like he says, "Oh, you know, Sheriff, help me, come on," and then they help him get up, and they say, "Push the button, push it. Where's your kid now, Sheriff?" And he just leaves, and then oh my god, like, and they know that there's no hope. They're about to die, so they take hands. I mean, when Jesse says to Buzz, what do we do? It's oh my god, my heart melted at that point. I was gone. I was, oh my god, this is brilliant. This is why Pixar are amazing. They're not afraid to push the boundaries. Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, I did say this movie was a bit more serious, but there is some comedy. I think the funniest thing in this movie probably has to be the Spanish Buzz. I thought that was just genius.
Yeah, loved it.
The way they develop Buzz and Jesse's relationship. Oh, it's wonderful. And he's like confessing his love, and he thinks that Woody is trying to take Jesse away from him when he's in his Spanish mode, and he says the cowboy, he says "El Creta" or something like that, and he throws the flower at him. It's just fantastic. Yeah, and obviously they're saved by the Claw, which is which definitely added a lot of lightness after that really emotionally powerful moment. I think in regards to Lotso's comeuppance, maybe there could have been something a bit more dramatic, but I think it was fine. It'll do. It's satisfying enough. Like, you know that he's going to be strapped to that car the rest of his life, and basically he'll get his revenge. Well, no, he'll get his comeuppance. Sorry. And yeah, and obviously the goodbye Andy scene, another scene that makes me cry. That's probably one of the most relatable scenes in film. Just like if you're a kid and you're an adult, giving away your toys is when you've moved on, it's significant, and it's a part, because going from childhood to adulthood is a very significant time in your life, and it's very hard to kind of let things go. And obviously Andy finds it hard to let Woody go, but he then realizes that, you know what, he was a great part of my life, but that's it, and the torch has been passed. I mean, this is a perfect, happy ending. This is the happiest ending ever. It's the most fitting ending, and unlike Cars 3, which is a bullshit happy ending, which leaves the door open on so many levels, changes the focus from one character to another, completely fucks up the end of the trilogy. This is golden. Why couldn't they do the same with Cars 3? I mean, let's not even go there with the fucking plot twist in that movie. Just what? But anyway, I also like the song in the end credits, the "We Belong Together." I believe that won an Oscar, if I'm correct. Is that correct?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, it won Best Original Song.
Probably do.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a good song. I also like that when the new toys come in at the very end to Sunnyside, and Sunnyside is all cool and groovy. That's great. And like you see Zurg there as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
And again, like Ken's great. Also, when he has a change of heart, he says, "Oh, it's Lotso. He made this into a prison and he put himself on top, and he was right." And I also think the scene when they interrogate Buzz is pretty intense. Like he snoops in on the villains who are in the vending machine, like playing cards. If I have to make my one criticism of Toy Story 3, there's too many characters. Like some of the secondary villains are just there. They don't get anything to do. I mean, the octopus who's called Stretch, Whoopi Goldberg voices her. She gets like 2 lines. I mean, what the hell? I mean, what's the point? You might as well just not have.
I agree.
I mean, I know you have to have like a well-established group in the daycare center because they're like Lotso's gang, but there's too many. There's just too many.
Whoopi Goldberg's character Stretch could have had a lot more. Development. I mean, I remember when the film came out, there was a toy of Stretch, and I bought it, and it was like such a cool toy. I was like, oh, can't wait to see this character, and I was pretty disappointed with like the limited amount of time she had.
She was basically a cameo. I mean, let's face it. You have all the main toys. You have Bonnie's toys, then you have the daycare toys. There's like thousands of them. There's so many. Like, you might as well not have bothered. It
would have been nice to have like a female villain, like amongst the gang of villains.
Yeah, I mean they made
like Lotso's gang.
That would be nice. I guess Stretch is really the only female.
Yeah, I mean it would have been nice because she's the only female to have had a bit more like character.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I mean that aside, this movie's amazing. I mean the animation is obviously crystal clear. I mean it's obviously because this film came out in 2010, technology had advanced a lot. The animation to the first movie to this one, major fucking difference. But not to slate the first movie. The first movie was more simple. This is much more emotionally dark and complex. And seeing them go through this stage of torture, it's really hard. It's kind of dark to watch, really. I think the director, what's his name? I think his name's Lee Unkrich. The direction is
it's Lee Unkrich.
Yeah, the direction is just fantastic. It really is. It's so perfect. It is right. It's fitting. I mean, yes. I mean, Toy Story 2 definitely has more of an adventure feel to it. It's probably better paced, but I prefer this because it's a great resolution and you really feel the struggle for the toys in this film. Also, the music score is terrific. I love that, and I agree with Alan. The telephone toy is great. It's great when he says to Woody, get rid of that monkey. And the actual prison scene is clever, so well thought out. We have to sneak past all the toys, and particularly when Slinky Dog and Woody take out the monkey. That's quite a good sequence. Oh yeah, and obviously it's worthy to note that Slinky Dog had to be recast, unfortunately, with Blake Clark due to the fact that Jim Varney had unfortunately passed away after Toy Story 2, so it was inevitable. But Blake Clark does a pretty spot-on impression of Jim Varney's Slinky, so I didn't even realize it was a different actor until I watched the behind-the-scenes of the cast interview.
Oh, he sounds just like him. Perfect.
He does. And actually, I believe they actually knew each other. They were friends. So obviously, he really nailed his accent, which is great. I mean, Slinky also talks in a southern drawl as well. Like, why is it only Mater gets criticized for talking in a southern drawl? It's like there are other southern characters in Pixar movies. Like,
I know, really.
What's wrong with southern characters? Exactly.
I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, and it really is a perfect ending. I really couldn't have asked for better. The music score by Randy Newman is absolutely brilliant, and especially during the end of the film, it gets really intense. And it's just wonderful. And obviously, Lotso's backstory with Daisy, I think it's just very well thought out. I like the character of Chuckles, like the fact that he sits by the window, so depressed. Like, yeah. I know Lotso. He was a good toy. Like he speaks so lowly.
But by the end, they finally get him to smile.
Yeah, and then when they read the letter out and they say, Buzz, Barbie didn't write this. And it's like Ken's put a heart and a kiss on it. Oh, it's brilliant. And I love the like the end credit scenes, like Miss Potato Head obviously saying, "I told you, kids, stay out of my butt," like the little peas in the pod.
Yeah.
Zip thing. That was great, and the final dance number was nice. It was a nice, charming way to end this trilogy. Like Toy Story 3, absolute masterpiece. It's my second favorite Pixar movie. As I said, my only flaw with it is there's too many characters. There are just too many characters. If you'd have stripped away some of the secondary characters, this would have been pretty much perfect. But I'm not going to fault the movie on that because you know, it was well worth the wait. I mean, wow, and it was actually probably perfectly timed for the for the release. Actually, I don't know if anybody remembers in the Pixar film Up, there's a reference to Toy Story 3. There's a shot when the house is going up. You see a little girl's bedroom. In the corner of frame, you see Lotso hugging Bear.
That's the Pixar Easter egg. They do it for every film. They put a foreshadowment for like upcoming films.
Yeah,
because Up came out before, and in this film they do like a callback to Up on Andy's room. If you look at his pinboard in his bedroom, he has like a little
yeah, but they didn't
postcard from Ellie.
Yeah. I don't think they foreshadowed Cars 2 as far as I know in Toy Story.
Yeah, they did. There's in his room. There's a picture of Finn whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. But no, I just noticed
Yeah,
there's a
picture of him in
that's
Andy's
what makes me think all the Pixar films are like in some kind of universe.
yeah.
It's just the thing they do. Like every single film has a past film in it and a future film Easter egg.
Also,
Yeah, it's like with the MCU movies, they just mention things. To be honest, I didn't even know the MCU were all connected. I just thought, oh, they're just like in the same
well, unfortunately,
company.
other than Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is a new one. But anyway, I mean, back to Toy Story. In that upshot as well, there's a little ball, like a star with a star on it. They've used that in previous things. There's actually
That's in every single Pixar film.
apart from The Good Dinosaur.
No, it's in The Good Dinosaur.
Oh right, I'll have to look for that.
This is a rock formation.
Oh right, I see.
And a funny thing in Inside Out is
it's
that,
in
you know,
it's in the scene where they take the when they get really high on the drugs from eating that stuff, and
excuse me.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
It's in that scene.
I remember that now. Yeah. Oh shit, that was nice. But yeah, no, I know there's a short film that they had, which was about two lamps. There was a lamp and there was the little lamp, and it was like
Luxo.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but
It's called Luxo.
Yeah.
Luxo Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luxo Junior.
That was cute. I kind of like that.
Luxo Junior.
By the way, I don't remember the short film that played before this movie. I really don't remember what it was. Does anyone know?
Yes, it was Day and Night, the one with the cartoons, and there's like
that one.
they keep walking, and one's got the daytime and one's at night, and one goes to like Las Vegas.
Was it the
where it's
cloud?
all bright.
Yeah, it's like
No,
it's like
it's-
representation of day and a representation of night. Try to convince each other why day is better than night or why night is better than day.
Oh, yes.
And then by the end, I guess they agree that day and night are equally good.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, cute, wasn't it?
Yeah. I love that cartoon. Love it.
Oh, the new one is weird, like the one for Cars 3, Lou. It's cute, but it's strange.
That's the lost and found monster thing, right?
Where
Yeah,
did
it's
that
like
all
Yeah.
come from?
I thought it was, well, yeah, they showed that when I went to see Cars streaming. I mean, yeah, I was more interested in the third Cars film, but like I was like, why did this come up? And
Well,
I forgot that they were gonna have a short, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's something they do for all of their movies. All their feature films, they play a 5-minute short film before the feature. Last
And
year,
then on the DVD, it's a special feature.
Yeah, I mean, last year with Finding Dory, they had one called Piper, which was about a little bird.
That was a good one.
Braver. That was really good. That actually reminded me of The Good Dinosaur, that plot. It was like, overcoming fear of the sea and, coming of age. It was like that, basically.
What about the short that played in front of The Good Dinosaur?
Was that the Hindu one?
It was good.
Yeah.
But it was weird. It was strange.
It was cool because it
I was
came from the heart.
amazed when I saw it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
I'm glad you were happy.
Thank you.
Sounded sarcastic.
No, that wasn't meant as sarcasm. It's just my voice.
Okay. Stop. Do nothing. Obey my voice.
Stop, do nothing, obey my voice.
Anyway, I got to wrap it up. So, Toy Story 3. In short, it gets a absolute 10 out of 10, and it's a perfect ending.
I'm gonna check how long this live stream has been going on for. Holy shit.
Well, I need to finish this. Okay. Basically, yeah. So, and it's the perfect ending to what is the greatest animated trilogy of all time, in my opinion.
Hey, Ollie, do you have any last thoughts about Toy Story 4?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. Well, like you, I don't think it's necessary. I feel it is basically a big fat fucking cash grab. But if John Lasseter feels he can do it, and if he has a... Sorry, I'm getting so much noise.
Sorry, that was just...
That's all right. Okay, as I was saying, I mean, yeah, it's unnecessary. It's a huge cash grab. I just hope if it is to be, you know, at least good, then that's fine. I'm expecting something decent, but I just don't want it to ruin the ending of Toy Story 3. That is my main concern. If John Lasseter feels he can pull it off, then okay, fine, go for it. I'll give it a chance, but I don't expect it to be as good as these three movies, to be honest. It's not necessary. I mean, if the only sequel that I wanted to see from Pixar was The Incredibles 2. Really.
Yeah. Next year, we finally get it.
Yeah, finally.
Oh, I hate The Incredibles.
Leave!
Aw.
Really?
Well, I don't hate
Can't
it. It's
wait
just my
for
least favorite
Incredibles
Pixar
2.
film.
Do you prefer Cars to The Incredibles?
Yeah. I prefer Cars 2 to The Incredibles.
Like, I wouldn't go...
I'd say...
I don't mind Cars 2, but I wouldn't go that far.
I still
I'd
stand by
say-
that Cars is the worst.
What, Cars, the first one?
Yeah, that's the most boringest film. It's just him building a road.
Yeah.
I couldn't give... I hate Cars as it is, so...
Yeah, that's the main problem with Cars. It drags on too long. It's too long.
kind of. But it is a childhood
But I don't mind
classic,
The Incredibles. When I say I hate The Incredibles, I just mean like it's my least. Like I don't know, I just don't really like the human-based films. Although I do like Brave, so
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's it really. We've all talked about these movies. So, Lee, what do you think of the entire trilogy, and what do you rate it out of 30?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Me.
Yeah.
The Dragon Critic. The one and only.
Yeah. Well, you're the only one called
can
Lee.
I ask a question to the Dragon Critic?
Hey. But yeah, I rate the trilogy 30 out of 30, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that guy who just spoke. Where are you from? Because your accent's really confusing me.
I'm Ireland. From Ireland.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
well,
cool.
it's Jack.
Oh, Ireland, my laddie. Oh.
But you sound like American.
Oh, a lot of people say that, actually.
Fair enough. No, I was just curious, but thanks for.
Okay.
Oh, Alan and Louie, if you want to send me an invite, feel free to, because you seem like cool guys.
Will do.
Cool.
Anyone who likes
Louie,
dragons is.
question. What are your thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon?
It's good. Thumbs up for that.
I love the first How to Train Your Dragon. I wasn't too crazy about the second one.
See, I prefer the second to the first.
Agreed.
I
Second one
really
is the
like
best.
both, but I think the second is slightly stronger. But anyway,
I'm looking forward to the next one.
going back to Toy Story. So, Louis, seeing as you haven't really had a chance to speak much, what is your sort of digest opinions on Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, and how do you summarize the trilogy overall? And
Okay, I'll keep it short because I don't want to. People who've been watching, I don't want to repeat what others have said. So I'll try to keep it as short as possible.
That's fine.
Like it all came from that short film Tin Toy. They were going to do a half-an-hour Christmas special, based on that character of the Tin Toy who would meet a I can't say it. I can't say it. You know what I mean? A puppet. I can't say it.
Ventriloquist.
That's it. I can never say that word. Dummy, which was going to be a cowboy, and he was going to get abandoned by his owner, and they're gonna have to find their way home at Christmas time. And Disney were like, "This is good, but we might as well just make it an hour movie." So then Toy Story was commissioned, and they changed it to become the Toy Story we know. Originally, Disney wanted it really dark, and they had a pitch, and the Woody character was really horrible and was bullying the other toys, and they said like they just weren't enjoying it because Disney was just changing their original idea to make it too gritty and too dark, and then they were going to cancel the project, and then they were just like, fuck it, let's just make our own script, let's just do it the way we want to do it, and we'll hand it in. And they did, and Disney loved it. So Toy Story was made. That's a little bit backstory on Toy Story. 1995, the first ever computer animated movie, 3D graphics, and it's just marvelous. I mean, I think it's quite a dark film. It's quite an adult kids film, I think, compared to other kids films.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, Sid's room with all his creature creations and toy mix and match, like the hooker. The hooker's my favorite. The pair of legs with the hook. I always found that funny.
I bet the toy's name is Hooker.
It is called Hooker. It's like a Pixar joke. I think it's a really cool coming of age kind of story. You have like Woody with Andy, and he's kind of being pushed out because in the first couple of scenes, you see Woody's like the leader, the sheriff, literally. He's the leader of the toys. He's helping out. He's doing all these group meetings. Then Buzz comes along and just pushes him off his perch, and he gets very jealous. And you can kind of understand why, because he's had this close relationship with Andy, and it's kind of Woody realizing that he needs to kind of not be as selfish because it's what Andy wants, and him and Buzz kind of bond over the duration of the film. And you get some really nice scenes. I mean, all the characters in these films are just so cool, so funny. I mean, you get some toys that are like family classics, like the Slinky Dog and Potato Head. Everyone had that growing up. And then you get like new original toys like Buzz Lightyear, the Aliens. You have your typical dinosaur toy in Rex. And I love the stereotypes that are played in this. Like Rex is supposed to be big and scary and tough. He's like the biggest coward. And you have like Ham, the money box, who just kind of keeps lookout, and because of that he's like really nosy and like knows everything. I always found that really funny. You have the kind of concept that Buzz doesn't understand he's a toy, and that kind of plays into things, and it's Woody's story in the sense that it's him kind of letting go and realizing that he has to share Andy, and that he's still valuable to Andy, just he has to kind of let him go kind of thing, but he's still there, if that makes sense. And then you've got Buzz, who's kind of becoming a toy. But it's kind of weird because it's fine. Looking back, Toy Story 1, or Toy Story, it's the first and only kind of Pixar film that's not a musical, but it has musical interludes. Like you have the songs, like "You Got a Friend in Me," obviously. Like what's that other song? When Buzz is jumping off the thing, like "I believe I can fly, I will fly," and then he like falls off, and it goes all sad. You have like a song where Woody is kind of getting overthrown by Buzz as Andy's favorite toy. It's like, it's not a musical, but they have their musical songs. Actually, that's quite funny because the next Pixar film, Coco, is actually their first musical.
Oh, is it?
So that'd be quite interesting. Yeah, it's Pixar's first musical.
Oh.
Coco doesn't come out till fucking January.
Oh, it comes out in November in the UK.
No, in the US it comes out in November.
And here.
No, well, the trailers are saying it's February next year or January next year.
January. Yeah, it said on the audio. Actually, but they could have changed it. Hang on, let me check it.
I saw that it comes out like 25 years after the original Toy Story. Or 20 years. I forget. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I'm going to keep it short. 18. Oh, well, we're going to get it soon, so no worries.
Here, Louie, are you going to see the Ninjago movie?
No.
Oh. Have you seen the Kung Fu Panda trilogy?
Yeah, I have. It's a cool trilogy. Back to Toy Story. Toy Story 1, like I said, I love the character of Sid. He's a cool villain. He's kind of the only human villain in the franchise. He's different. He's messed up, and he's not really like a villain which teaches the kids any lesson. Like, he doesn't really teach toys lessons.
Louis, I mean,
Like Woody doesn't really learn anything.
Sid of another animated franchise.
Sloth.
Sloth.
But no, I like how Sid experiments, and you kind of get the contrast between him and Andy. Like Andy's a good kid and he's a messed up kid, and like the toys are petrified of him. And it's quite funny watching the commentaries. Like Sid's based off like the most of the Pixar stuff, because apparently they used to like torture their toys growing up. So it's quite funny. I love the ending when Woody sets up the zombie tools, and Sid's sister kind of gets her revenge on him and can torture him for the rest of his life based on those toys. My favorite characters are the aliens, like the claw, and like throughout the whole 3 films, they've just gone on like this bloody claw because it's the thing they worship in the arcade. Because it like picks them up. It's like, we are the chosen ones, and I kind of love the aliens. I mean, I feel like Illumination Animation and like the Despicable Me franchise kind of ripped off the Minions. They ripped off the aliens and the Minions a bit. Like they're quite similar, not in design, but just in characteristics.
I can see that. Yeah, you got a point.
Yeah, not that I dislike Minions, because if I did that, I'd be like a Nazi. But no, I just can see the similarities.
I think we all agree that we prefer the aliens from Toy Story to the Minions.
I prefer the Minions, actually.
Oh,
fair enough.
I don't think we can be friends. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. The aliens are great. I love them. I love Pizza Planet too. I mean, when I went to Disneyland Paris, I went into Pizza Planet, and it was great to actually be in Pizza Planet. So keeping it sweet and short, Toy Story 1 or Toy Story is a great film. Yes, the animation has aged, but I think that's a good thing because it shows how much they've progressed. For me, it is a 10 out of 10. I could watch it anytime. I mean, I love it. It's just one of those films like
10 out of 10 is not good enough.
Yeah, it's just like pure gold. It's just embedded into my childhood, and the whole franchise has, but it's something very special, and I think we can all agree on that.
It's got a friend in you.
He's got a friend. Randy Newman has some great music in the first film. So yeah, I love the first one. The second one, fun story behind that is it was originally just going to be a direct-to-release video, direct-to-DVD video. But John Lasseter had like a little look at it and was like, "This is just really crap. Like, if we're going to do it, let's do it properly."
Yeah.
And he changed the whole thing in 2 months.
In 2 months? Was it really that short?
Mm-hmm. It was really short. Reanimated the whole thing, worked non-stop on it.
Why didn't we do that? Last 3.
The characters were originally very different. I mean, Jessie was originally a cactus, like a cactus woman, and she was originally going to be a villain. Bullseye spoke, and Bullseye was the only good guy in it. But then they wrote the whole thing and changed it. And it went on to be released in cinemas and stuff. Another fun fact, the finished film was deleted.
Sorry, Harry, what did you say?
Thank God it got a cinematic release. It deserved it.
Agreed.
Yeah, totally. But another fun fact is this film got deleted, the finished product, and luckily one of the workers had a backup copy on their home computer, so we got to see it in all its glory. For me, this one is like the one I remember most, other than like my childhood Toy Story film would be this one, if that makes sense. Because I was born in '99, so of course I've seen the first one, but this is one I always think of. Like, I remember seeing this in the cinemas, I think, like being really, really young. No, it was when it was re-released, sorry. They re-released it in cinemas and I saw it. But like, this is one I always used to watch on DVD and stuff. And it was always on the telly, like Christmas time and stuff. I really enjoyed it. Sorry?
Oh, no, I was just saying, as in being interested on how it was
cool.
shown on Christmas TV.
Cool. Yeah, like, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like a cool sequel. I like the story idea of the first film. It's kind of Woody wanting to be with Andy, and like he wants to be top dog. And in this one, he's kind of like, sorry,
not in a gay way.
not, not as in top and bottom, as in top dog.
Andy likes to play with his toys, you know. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
His sex toys. Even dildos come to life.
That kind of film.
50 Shades of Toy Story. But those dildos have a life of their own when you turn the lights off. I really like how in this film it's kind of like Woody, like, oh, I don't need Andy. Like, I've got this whole legacy and background, and he finds out more about his toy side, like Buzz did in the first film.
His toy side.
Woody kind of. Well, his toy side is in like he like Buzz has the Buzz Lightyear, Infinity and Beyond, all that stupid Space Command shit.
Funny.
He finds his toy side in Woody's Roundup. He's the best. He's in the wild, wild west. Woody's Roundup. Like, I love that. And he kind of like, it's weird how Stinky Pete kind of manipulates him into actually thinking he wants to stay and be behind in that museum. I mean, the other toys have to go and rescue him, and they go to Toys R Us, and there's a funny like scene where they call back to Jurassic Park, like with Rex running and Barbie in the truck. And then of course you get the Buzz like duplicate, and that's fun, but it gets a bit boring after the first film with Buzz doing the whole Space Command thing. And then like in this film he does it, and in the third film he does. That's the only like nitpick I have with this franchise. Like the whole Buzz doing the same thing gets a bit boring. But you do get a funny scene with Zurg where he's like, "No, Buzz, I am your father." He's like, "No, father." I love that. The villain in this is Stinky Pete, although Al from Al's Toy Barn could be considered a villain, I suppose. He looks like a man called Matrix Lord 212, a YouTuber. He's this big fat guy with glasses and like bald head, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Al," and he's like just scheming all the time to get these toys. And you kind of see Woody pick up this group of kind of like pissed off, depressed toys in Jesse, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete, and he kind of like first he wants to escape, but then he kind of builds a friendship with them, and he kind of wants to be their leader and kind of stay there. And then when you get all the toys coming back to save him, he's kind of like, "No, I'm fine here, I'm happy." And he's like, "You'll never be played with again." And he's like, "Well, that's fine. I'm a rare collector's thing." And you get Jesse's backstory as well, which I think saves this film. Like the film would have been good anyway, but I think that adds like an extra 5 points to this film. That's such an emotional scene. There's like no dialogue. It's just the music by Randy Newman again, not sung by him because that'd be a bit weird. And it's just such a moving scene. It's so sad and depressing. I mean, nothing. It's just literally like you seeing Jesse being played with by Emily, and then just over the years being discarded. And it kind of sets up the third film. It's like if you hadn't, like if you were to watch the third film straight afterwards, it's kind of sets it up, and there's a few more foreshadowments about like Stinky Pete says like, "Do you think Andy's going to take you to college with him?" and all of this, and it's like,
oh yeah,
you don't realize it at the time, but it really sets up the third film. And at the end as well, they're like, "Oh, we'll when that day comes, we'll be ready for it because we have each other," kind of stuff. But yeah, the second film for me has never been my favorite. I love all three films the same. I'd give them all 10 out of 10, but I feel like this is probably the weakest for me. I just find it.
Up you, Louie. Can I just quickly let Alan wrap up because he has to go now?
Yeah, it's fine.
If he just does a quick summary and then he can head off.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Summary. I love the Toy Story movies. I think all three of them are wonderful. So perfect 10 for each. So that's a perfect score of 30 for the trilogy.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Alan.
There you go. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Bye,
night.
Alan.
It was nice meeting you, Alan.
You
Awesome
too. You
talk.
too.
We'll give you.
Bye, Alan.
Take
Cheers.
care, buddy.
Bye.
See you, Ali. See you, Alan.
Sorry, Louie, you can carry on now. No, Louie.
Hello.
It's fine.
Yeah. So I haven't seen these films in a while. Like probably since like last year. So That'll probably be stuff I'm thinking of everything that stands out to me in the film. I love the chase scene in this film when they go on the Pizza Planet truck, and then we get more aliens. It's like, you have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful. And Mrs. Potato Head gets really pissed off with them. Because obviously in this film, we get Mrs. Potato Head, who's kind of like introduced in the first film at the end, but you don't really see her. It's just like a little joke, but we get to see her in this one. But the woman gets like left behind, bar Jessie, but she's not really part of the crew at this point. So you get this chase scene, and Woody's like, "Come with us," to Jessie and Bullseye, and Bullseye is like adorable. I love Bullseye, and Jessie doesn't want to be heartbroken again. And Stinky Pete, you find out, has been like manipulating them the whole time, and he's just like hates kids. So his fate is brilliant when he gets like picked up by a Barbie, like a little girl who's obsessed with her Barbie. She's like, "We can do Barbie picnic," and he's like, "I'm gonna paint you," and because he's like, this must be kept in the box.
You're like Amy. She's an artist.
It's just great. I mean, Stinky Pete is a good villain, probably the weakest in the trilogy, I would say. But again, I think that's what makes this film lack a little bit. Like the villain's quite weak. But,
I don't think it lacks, but I think out of the three,
I don't mean lack. I just mean it. It's just the one when I go to rewatch, I'm just like, maybe it's because I've seen it so many times. I'm not sure.
I mean, he has the least amount to do out of the three villains. But I still think he's great.
He's cool, but he's just not my favorite. Yeah, the airplane sequence where they're on the plane, that's pretty cool. Overall, it's just a good, fun, enjoyable sequel. I mean, it lives up. I mean, the opening's really good as well with the Buzz on the moon, on the planet, fighting Zurg, the video game. I mean, that ties into what we're talking about with Toy Story 3. It's kind of seeing it through the imagination of a child. So overall, I'd give this a 10 out of 10 again. I mean, you get the ending with Jessie going to live with them. You've got Wheezy, the little penguin. He's like, "You got a friend in me." That's a great ending. So yeah, I'd give it 10. Toy Story 3, all those years later, and we get it. I mean, I remember seeing this about 5 times at the cinema, not because I was obsessed with it, just because I went and saw it like once with my family, once with my friends. I went on a date with my girlfriend at the time. We went and saw it. So it's kind of like I just kept seeing this film. And each time I loved it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably one of the best Pixar sequels. Well, it is, in my opinion, the best Pixar sequel. One of the best Pixar films.
Do you prefer it to number 2?
Yeah, by like a mile. I prefer it to the first one by a mile. I think it's just like, it has such high stakes, and you really care about the characters. You've cared about them for the last 2 films. So in this film, it's kind of like they sold it as the final chapter, although now it's not the final chapter.
Thank you, Pixar.
Toy Story 3 Forever After.
We'll get on to. Oh well, we're getting Shrek 5, but that's another story. We'll come back to that later.
Shrek the 5th.
But it's Shrek the fuck off.
The unnecessary 5th.
But David Walliams is writing that, and Edgar Wright. But anyway,
David Walliams playing Shrek.
Oh God, I'm a lady. Back.
Oh yeah, that's from Little Britain.
Yeah.
Back to my point.
I'm an onion. I have layers.
Toy Story 3, like it's Andy's growing up, and I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, this," and it's really moving because you see like Andy's old, like an 18-year-old, and you can start to relate to like, he's so old compared to when we last saw him.
Queen in Cast 3. He's old, but he's not old.
Exactly. It's like you kind of realize, you kind of reflect, like you can put yourself in Andy's shoes because it's like, because you never really forget the last time you played with your toys. You don't sit down and say, okay, this is the last time I'm going to play with your toys. It kind of just happens. It's like you don't realize it. So it's kind of like, I'm becoming Andy now. I'm growing up. I'm gonna, like, I don't use toys anymore. And like, how do those toys feel? And
I mean, Louie,
it's a moving scene at the beginning with the soldiers, and they kind of leave, and it's like mission playtime's over, and they go away.
You know how you said Andy, at some point. Like we never stopped playing. We eventually stopped playing with our toys. Depends on the
Mhm.
toys.
Oh. Andy's. Oh, this. What they should have done for Toy Story 3 is have Woody being overthrown by Mr. Dildo and Mr. Vibrate.
I would love to see that. Like
And they should have had a Helen Cutter toy that leads a rebellion of dildos.
Toy Story 3.1,
But
the R-rated cut.
Rise of the Helen Cutter.
It turns into Sausage Party and they will just fuck each other at the end.
Lovely. I love the meeting Woody does, and he's like, "We're all here," and it's just like, we need to go up to the loft. Like we're Andy's toys. We need to be here for Andy. Like he'll have kids of his own one day, and they go up to the Andy like puts them in the bag to go up to the loft, but his mum mistakes it for trash, and Woody has to go and save them. And at that point, they're kind of like Jessie kind of leads a rebellion against Andy, like because she's been through it before. She's kind of like, look, he doesn't want us. We were put in the trash. Let's go. And Woody's trying to prove them wrong. And they see the Sunnyside box in which Andy's sisters put the Barbie doll. And that's like a new character we get introduced to, although we've had Barbie in the previous film, but this is a different Barbie. And we kind of, like, Woody's kind of like, all right, go into Sunnyside, see how long you last. Like, you'll be begging to come back in a bit. And they finally get there, and they just want to be played with, and they meet Lotso, and he's like, oh, I'm Lotso, Hugging Bear. And he's like trying to be all nice and friendly, and he's like, don't worry, you've been through a lot, you're safe here. And Woody kind of smells that there's a rat and something's not right, and he's like, right, I'm going back. Come on, let's go. And the only one who wants to go with Woody is Bullseye. And it's really cute. It's really sad when he's just like, piss off, Bullseye. And Bullseye has to go back. And he's just like, after all we've been through. And he's just like, come on, Woody. And he just like leaves. And I love how easy Woody escapes. He just like gets out. And then every other character towards the end of the film, they try to get out, and it's just like impossible. But Woody does it so easily. That's always made me laugh. But it's cool. So Woody gets out, and he meets Bonnie, and Bonnie takes her back to her house, and she meets his toys, and he's played with for the first time in years, and he's really enjoying it. And at that point, I thought maybe Bo Peep would appear. And like Bonnie had Bo Peep the whole time. I was really expecting that, or even at the end credits when they do like the dance scene, like Bonnie would have had Bo Peep. But it didn't happen. And when he's there, he finds out that Sunnyside's like this evil camp run by Lotso, and you get to see his backstory, and it's quite sad but twisted, and it's creepy. So that's cool. And then Woody goes back, and he's all guns blazing to get him out, and it's them leaving, and we've kind of talked about the rest. I mean, the incinerator scene, it's really the scariest, like darkest scene in kids movie history. I mean, I remember seeing that, and everyone at the cinema was crying, like grown men were crying. But then the claw saved them, and I was like, I love you, aliens. And they go back, and Andy and his mum have a really nice poignant scene, which is quite emotional, where she's like, you've grown up so fast. And that's kind of when Woody makes his choice. And he puts himself in the box, but you don't see it. And he goes over to Bonnie's house, and he gives away the toys, and he's like doing a big story for each one of them. Like, this is Rex, he's the biggest dinosaur, and this is evil Dr. Porkchop. And then he gets to Woody, and it's just like, oh, he pulls at your heartstrings, because you know he doesn't want to give Woody up, but he's like, do you know what? It's time, and all things must come to an end. And you used to see that last shot of the toys looking at Andy's car drive away, and he's like, so long, partner. And yeah, people at the cinema, like grown men were crying. I was just like, wow, that's powerful stuff.
It's such an amazing movie.
It really is. I mean, you get the end scene, and you see Ken and Barbie have done up Sunnyside, and they made it a good groovy place. The soldiers from the beginning of the film end up there, and they're like making it a nice place for them. And they're all taking their turn in the playroom with the kids. And it's like at the end scene when they did the big mucho
Spanish stuff.
muso de frodo that the Spanish you got friend in me. I really thought Bo Peep was going to appear, but I thought it was going to be like in a box. Bo Peep comes out and it's like
Sadly not.
Bonnie had Bo Peep the whole time, but obviously they chose not to because in Toy Story 4 we're going to see the return of Bo Peep, and when this film came out, everyone was saying Toy Story 4, Toy Story 4, Toy Story 4, and they said no, we're not going to do it. What we're going to do is we're going to bring these characters back in the form of short films like
and
Toy
you
Toons.
should have stuck to that.
And I think that would have been great
exactly.
because I don't want to not see them again, but just in short little like bits. We don't have to see like a whole film. Even the half an hour Christmas specials are fine. I don't mind that.
I mean, just
not a whole film.
Fun, little scenario. You don't need to see another big dramatic story.
Exactly, because it's kind of like that trilogy's done now.
Or you could just cancel the fourth film and turn it into a TV show.
Not gonna happen.
But I mean, it's going to make the money, and I mean, Pixar has really hit a low. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of their newest work, but I would say this was the last film that they were at their like highest, and then they kind of fell with Cars 2, Brave, box office wise. I mean, I love all of these. Well, I don't love Cars 2, but I love Brave, I love Inside Out, I love Finding Dory.
Brave.
I really like Brave.
I mean, I like Brave. The first half of it was decent, but then the second half, as soon as they turn a mother into a bear, I'm like, what?
It really changed what I thought the film was going to be about.
Yeah, same.
I personally love Brave. I think it's the most underrated Pixar movie.
I agree with you, Harry. Pixar, Brave's great. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but they're making a new original because, like, they basically because
Guys,
Disney now
I have to go now.
Okay.
Oh, it was nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Okay.
For
Well,
see
it's nice meeting you too. Good night, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Man.
Good night.
As I was saying, now Pixar is owned by Disney. Disney said every 10 years we have to have a certain amount of sequels, hence why we've got Finding Nemo 2, Finding Dory, Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2, all in like the end because
people actually wanted
Pixar and Cars 3. That basically Pixar wanted to focus on the original films, so we got Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Brave, and then they were like, you need to do sequels, like a certain amount of sequels. They did Monsters University, Cars 3, Finding Dory.
Can I ask you, what's your opinion on Ratatouille?
I love Ratatouille.
Oh, nice.
It's a great original film. But now we're coming out like after Toy Story 4, they're doing original films for another 10 years. And we're gonna get an untold urban film about fantasy. So it's like
What's it called?
It's not got a title at the minute. It's just called Untitled Pixar Film about urban fantasy. So it's like urban city. You'll know what an urban city is, right?
Yeah. Is it a
but with
realistic film, or is it literally a fantasy epic?
It's supposed to be an urban, like realistic urban film about two boys trying to find their father, but it has dragons in it.
Oh, right. So it's a bit of a mishmash.
It looks interesting. I mean, we don't really know much about it, but at least it's original.
Well, I heard a rumor they were going to do a Brave sequel.
They did say they were up for a Brave sequel, but they've said there won't be any sequels for at least like 10 years after this.
Yeah, I mean, The Incredibles 3 might get made if the second one does well.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they do Cars 4 because Cars does really well merchandise-wise. It's the biggest selling merchandise out of all Disney franchises. So
Cars 3 apparently has done like the weakest of the three. So it is starting. The effect of it is starting to wear off now.
Well, it's not even that the films have got really. The films don't do very well, but the actual merchandise that goes along with the films, that's what skyrockets.
Yeah.
So it's all about profit on that. I mean, I haven't seen Cars 3 yet. I've got no like.
It's not really worth it.
I'm just not bothered.
No.
I would rather see Coco.
Yeah, Coco looks good.
But that's just me.
Hmm.
I mean, Toy Story 3 again, 10 out of 10. The whole franchise is just 10 out of 10. I'm quite worried about Toy Story 4, but if anything, we've got these three films to look back at. I mean, Toy Story 3, it's like the perfect prison film for kids. I mean, it's a great escape from prison.
Yeah.
And it's just something really original. I mean, that kind of works a mix max of genre. Like
me and Harry said earlier that this movie is kind of similar to War for the Planet of the Apes in the sense that they're both prison break movies.
yeah, that's true. And both about their leader kind of getting them out of the mess. I mean,
Yeah.
Toy Story 3 is like a kids film mixed with a prison get out of prison thing. And then with Cars 2 you have Cars with spies, and I think that works because it makes the cars interesting, but a lot of people didn't like that.
I liked it because it was different. It wasn't about Lightning McQueen fixing a road.
Exactly. I mean, that's my problem with the Cars franchise. It's just I don't like cars, and if you don't like cars, well, I like cars, but I don't care for cars. But that's my opinion on Toy Story. I mean, Pixar, hopefully they get out of the mess they're in, and start focusing on Pixar films instead of the Disney animated.
Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur, I think, is one of the most underrated Pixar films.
It is underrated. It's
I don't think many people saw it because it came out the same year as Inside Out.
Yeah.
And it didn't get very good publicity. But I think it's the best animation of any film, of any animated film.
What they should have done was release it in early 2016 after Star Wars The Force Awakens. Releasing it in the same month was a bit of a risk. But then again, they're both Disney projects, so...
I just think that The Good Dinosaur, when it was originally going to come out in 2014, it would have done a lot better.
Yeah.
But they changed it around and stuff, which is fair enough. I mean,
the animation software, which is what delayed them.
And the director quit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the director quit. I mean, I'm happy with The Good Dinosaur. I think, although it might not be appreciated by everyone else, I really enjoy it and I will watch it again.
Harry,
I'm glad to have it on my DVD collection.
I enjoy The Good Dinosaur. It's not one of my favorites from Pixar, but I do still appreciate it, and it's a shame that it's underrated because it's overshadowed by Inside Out.
Yeah.
Although I mean, I personally prefer it to like Finding Dory.
Fair enough. I can't say Good Dinosaur is one of my favorites, but it's good. It's a lot better than people give it credit for. I mean, it's way better than the first Cars movie.
Anything's better than that. I mean, I hear we're getting Finding Hank.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Which is going to make it a trilogy now.
I mean, Pixar, for some reason, obsessed with sequels. Like, we're going to be getting sequels in another 10 years of other classics. I mean, we're probably going to get A Bug's Life 2 and...
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do that sooner, actually. A Bug's Life 2.
Ratatouille.
Lol.
Up 2. It's going to be called Down. It's going to be about Carl's death as he falls down the stairs.
Yeah. And it'll just be about Russell trying to find him.
Mr. I mean, I love Pixar, but they do need to sort themselves out.
Well, I know you'll disagree, Louie, but I still feel that they redeem themselves with Inside Out.
No, I agree. I feel they redeem themselves, but box office wise, they're doing quite poor compared to other animation studios.
Oh, fuck the Emoji Movie.
I mean, like, you've got Illumination Animation. They're doing very well at the minute.
Yeah.
With the Despicable Me, Sing. Secret Life of Pets.
DreamWorks with the boss.
Yeah. Blue Sky was doing very well with the Rio franchise, but then they kind of hit a weird deja vu where they just keep making Ice Age films, which is fine. But at this point, I think the Ice Age films should just be direct to DVD.
Yeah, they've run out of steam. I think the Blue Sky animation is going to go down if...
They're slowly poisoning themselves because they're just not... I mean, they've got a new original film out called Fernland, or like it's about a bull. I mean, it looks quite interesting, actually, but I know David Tennant's in it.
I don't think it's going to be very good. I mean, I just think the animation looks poor. I mean, even Ice Age 5 has better animation.
Yeah, I think the animation style was just supposed to make it look really animated.
Yeah.
But
at least we agree.
I mean, we're getting Ice Age 6, so yay.
Anything's possible. I mean, so let's move on. Harry, before we close off, how do you see the Toy Story trilogy, and what do you rate it out of 30?
It's my favorite animated trilogy of all time. It will forever have a special place in my heart. So yeah, I'm so impressed that all three of these movies turned out the masterpieces that they did. I mean, they have revolutionary animation, fantastic songs by Randy Newman, and timeless fun characters. No wonder they have the tremendous and dedicated fan base that they do. And I'm also shocked that the toys didn't reveal to Andy at the end of Toy Story 3 that they're alive. I mean, scared the shit out of him if they did. But
I mean, as I said earlier, I personally feel that when Andy gives his speech about Woody, he kind of alludes to the fact that he might know Woody is alive, but then again, it's never really explained.
Well, yes, exactly, and he probably does kind of think they're alive, obviously, as we all do in our imagination. But it does make you wonder: are toys alive whenever we're not looking? And it makes you treasure your childhood. It has great mature themes of accepting change and depression and finding your purpose in life and growing up. And yeah, we need kids movies and family movies like Toy Story, and fuck the Emoji Movie. No one needs shit like that. I mean, we need more movies like this, and this trilogy has helped Pixar make its mark. And why the fuck does Toy Story 4 exist? We don't need it. It's simple as that. So I mean, it's fine as a trilogy. And in comparison to
Cars trilogy as well, there's a major difference.
Exactly. It's a shame the Cars trilogy wasn't better than it was, even though I still love the first movie, regardless of what the haters say. But yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to Toy Story. So yeah, I rate this trilogy a very obvious 30 out of 30.
I completely agree with you. 30 out of 30. The best animated trilogy of all time. I think one of the best trilogies of all time.
Oh yeah, I still prefer Lord of the Rings though.
Oh yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings is what got me into film, really. So I can't really say I prefer Toy Story to that, but it is the best animated trilogy ever. And also the fact that there's been long gaps between the movies, especially with the second to the third, an 11-year gap, and they were still able to maintain the same quality. And in my opinion, they actually topped the first two with the third one. But all three of them are fantastic. They work well together as a trilogy. Doing the idea of the fourth one is making me very skeptical. So I'll just wait and see. Next year we might get a trailer of some sort or some kind. We get more information about it. But as it stands right now, I am happy to see Toy Story as a trilogy, and like the third is the perfect ending. I hope that the fourth one doesn't ruin the ending of 3, even if it's not as good. I don't care as long as it's
agreed.
As long as it doesn't ruin the first 3, then that's fine. But hey, John Lasseter thinks he can pull it off, so fair enough. And in comparison,
although he's quit as director.
Oh right, has he?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's a completely new original, but
they might get Lee Unkrich to do it.
No, it's a completely new director.
Oh, okay.
He wants to train him up.
And in comparison to the Cars trilogy, yeah, I mean, obviously the Cars trilogy, I understand that John Lasseter had his heart in the right place. It was something very personal to him. But I feel that no audience could emotionally connect with the Cars movies, whereas the Toy Story movies, look, anyone can emotionally connect with these because we've all had toys in our life, whether it be for sexual reasons or for playful reasons. So yeah, there's a lot of mature themes that dealt with here in all 3 movies, and there's a nice progression. Like the third one gets especially dark as well, but they're all just such fun to watch, and they tell great stories, and that's what Pixar do well. They tell great stories. You know, there's a magic they have. There's a flair. I just hope that the fourth one doesn't lose that. I mean, because it's obviously going to happen. So we will see where it leads. But for now, I think, you know, it's fine as it is. And as for the future of Pixar, I mean, I'm looking forward to Coco, to seeing how that will pan out. And then The Incredibles 2, I'm really excited for, because I really do like the first one, and it's been long overdue for a sequel. And as I said in my review for Cars 3, it's sad. It's sad that we have to wait so long for Incredibles 2, yet Cars is now a trilogy. I don't get it. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'm Mr. Times 11. This is Harry. This is Louie. See you next time.